Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pmgc PUBG Mobile Global Championship. I'm Tash Bunny, your host for today, and today is going to be very exciting as we see the first day of Group Yellow. For now, with me, I have the man himself, the person I've been interviewing all the way from PMPL, MYSGPH, PMPLC, and finally here at PMGC. Please welcome Yuhai from Geek Fam.
Hello, I'm Yuhan.
All
Okay.
right, Yuhai,
Yes.
because you're very tall, right?
Yep.
There we go. So we talked from all the way from PMPL, MYSGPH, PMPLC, and now PMGC. How does it feel to make it all the way here?
How does it feel to make it all here? First, I feel very excited. I've been waiting for PMGC almost for 1 year.
Wow.
Since last year, my team with my
Hello
previous team
Tokir
didn't
bhai,
qualify,
hello
so,
esports vibe, how are you bro?
I'm here to
रुको रुको पहले
do
स्टोरी
better
पे
thing
डालते
with
हैं.
my new team, new lineup. We're starting fresh and yeah.
Oh, fresh start. New year, new you. So for now, I am curious to know, how's your team's form for today?
Team form for today.
Yes.
I think they're all ready.
Okay.
They are also ready. We've been training for almost 1 year.
Wow, okay.
1 year.
1 year together. It's really, really exciting. Now you're all the way here. So how do you feel about the first day of the Group Yellow League stage?
I feel a bit like scared a bit, nervous a bit.
Okay.
But I think my my excited is more than that, and I'm here to prove that a lot of things to prove myself.
Love
You're
from
here to
Assam bro,
prove yourself
same
and
here
be more
bro, love you
excited
too
than
bro.
scared, which I'm
How's
very
everything
excited about. So
going?
let's talk a bit about your
How's
achievements.
everyone
What are you
doing?
expecting to achieve at PMGC 2022?
What I want to achieve now is grouping, right? So our target is gonna be top three
Top
to
three.
qualify to the next stage in Jakarta, right? So yeah,
Okay, top
looking forward
three.
for that.
I'm really looking forward to it too because
What's
as a
up, Tokir
representative
bhai?
of
All
Malaysia.
good, all
And for
good,
now,
all
which
good.
team are you most looking forward to compete against and why?
Most team that looking forward to compete is, of course, BTR, my previous team.
BTR. Okay, I don't know why, but I was thinking you're gonna say FaZe Clan.
Face Clan, why Face Clan?
Because everyone talks about FaZe Clan, but let's talk about it. Why do you want to go against BTR?
Since they are my previous teammate and we are in the same stage together, so I want to beat them.
Okay, so this is a case of a rivalry. This is going to be very exciting. So the game is about to start. So what do you want to say to all of the other teams?
To all the other team, good luck and don't underestimate us. So be careful, we're going to freak you guys.
Wow, it's hot, hot, hot. As we're going into the game, it's starting off very, very soon. So take your seats, buckle up. We're jumping into the first map. Bye, guys.
What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Todd Jukes, and welcome to the
भाई
PUBG
लोग
Mobile
3 दिन
Global
से यार बुखार है.
Championships Group Yellow. And by my
बुखार
side, I
सर्दी
got
आज
two of the
जाके
best
थोड़ा
boys in the business,
हाल
the
चाल
7WG
better हुए हैं.
and Imperium. How are y'all feeling
वरुण पाटिल
today?
कैसे हो भाई आप?
I'm
All
doing
good, bro,
great,
all
man. We
good,
got to
all
see some
good.
amazing action in Group Green,
Dua,
and now
dua.
that we are in Group Yellow Imperium, I can't wait to see which teams are going to be surprising us.
Arguably the
Yellow
most
group.
unpredictable.
What do you guys think
group
about
of
the yellow
PMGC
group?
stage. We have
कौन
a lot
जीतेगा?
of
If you
teams
guys have
who
been
are coming
following
up
yellow
against their
group.
first global championship.
I feel इसमें Falcon के सबसे ज़्यादा
excited,
chances हैं.
And considering what we saw last week, I can only
सबसे
imagine
ज़्यादा
what's
Falcon
gonna be
के
coming up
chances
over
हैं.
the next 4 days. Oh, a lot, I can tell you that for sure. Well, let me go ahead and remind everybody who's just tuning in for the first time, make sure you guys go into the game, grab a PMGC token, and vote for which team you think is going to take the whole enchilada here. Hopefully you can get some in-game rewards as well. Of course, I got to give a big thank you to our sponsors for this big show. Sony with their Xperia 1.4 and Xperia Stream that were actually created in collaboration with professional esports players. Play PUBG Mobile in 90 Hz with Xperia Stream's total cooling system and multiple ports for intensive gaming and streaming. Also, got to give a big thank you to Pullman Kuala Lumpur Bangsar, our hotel partner here for the PMGC. Our world is your playground. And last but not least, of course, I got to give a new shout out to Prime Gaming. That's right, you guys can get some in-game rewards, premium content, and as well as claim some free PUBG Mobile items. So go check out Prime Gaming today and get some other Prime benefits while you're at it as well. And of course, last but not least, you guys gotta follow us, all right? Hit that button, subscribe to the channel, follow the Instagram, follow the TikTok, all the buttons, press them immediately. All right, now that you guys have been reminded of all that, let me go ahead and show you guys how this tournament is going to go.
Toki bhai, kya haal hai? All good, bro.
Pass up.
Falcon Xavier भाई फेस कैम काफी ज्यादा छोटा है लो भाई बड़ा कर देते हैं क्या हो गया
100% Group Yellow is the
Video
one
capture
that you are going to
device.
be watching today, and then remember,
ये लो बड़ा
only
कर
the
दिया
top 3 teams are going to be able to.
Few
move
days
on to
back,
the grand
someone was
finals.
complaining
The other
Facebook
teams
cam ज़्यादा बड़ा
up
की है.
until 11 actually, 4 to 11th. They're going to be getting a chance to go to survival stage.
Which team you're supporting? I like Falcon to be honest. They PMWI में उनका gameplay देख के बहुत मजा आया.
We're gonna have some
But
teams from last chance. Only 4 teams moving to.
let's see what
grand
IHC
finals
does
here.
as well.
The top 3, of course, is what we are looking for, what all of these teams are looking to achieve. Because if you get down to the survival stage, man, you have got to go through a hell of a journey to make it to the finals. When you've got the prize pool, when you've got the points on the line, $4 million US, that's a decent chunk of change to grab along the way.
Yeah, decent indeed. That's a thick prize pool. $4 million on the line here. We're in the final group here, and I guess that's kind of the benefit of being in Group Yellow. You know, you get to see the teams that have already qualified, okay? We can see them right here. This is the teams that qualified from Group Red, Group Green, and just a whole bunch of question marks here for Yellow.
4 पे क्या
Tier
लगता
7.
है?
I'm just laughing at the.
To be
group
honest,
between, the teams that are going
Chinese
to
teams
survival
में
stage,
अभी
because
मेरे को
that-
लग रहा है
if
they
that
are
was a
having a
group on
hard
its own,
time
that's just
adjusting
another group
with
of death out of Group
the
Green. And now
gameplay
these
of,
are the teams
you
that
can
have actually
say,
qualified for grand finals
South
already,
Asian
so
or
I'm pretty
Southeast
sure.
Asian
I mean,
teams.
we just saw what Geek Fam was trying to say. They want to be in the top 3. Are they going
Yeah.
to be able to try to be there in the grand finals with this team's Imperium?
Well, there's a lot of pressure on them
I
because
mean,
Geekfan are from
even though if they have the
Kuala
same
Lumpur, the
meta,
location for
even
the
if they
finals,
have
right? So, you know, there's a lot of
you
pressure
can
on
say
the line. We've also seen
same
Portugal
sort
and
of,
teams
I mean, like,
qualify-
they understand the
qualify
game
for
way
the
better.
finals. Will Besiktas
But yeah,
join them to
I
make
think
it
they
3
still are not
Turkish
able
teams
to,
and make
like,
it
you
to
know,
the
अपने
grand
पूरे
finals.
potential पे नहीं खेल रही हैं.
Ooh,
जो
had
मुझे
that
नोवा का भी लगा, they
managed
took time
really,
to
really
adjust
nicely. Here are the
पहले 2-3
participating
दिन में.
teams that we're going to be having here
They had
today.
one very good day.
And for the
I
next
mean,
few days. So
if
guys,
that
you know, take
wouldn't
that
have
screenshot. I
happened,
know you guys already know which
I
teams
mean,
are playing
like,
in here. So go
we
show
all
some
know
love right now
what
with the chat.
would
Blow
have
it up
happened.
and get
We
that
would
hype
have
ready
seen
for
a different result.
they need all the energy
पता
that
चलेगा.
they can get.
इसमें
They
IHC is
definitely
good.
need
IHC
all
has very
that
good
energy,
experience in
hot
playing
juice. And
against
you
a
know
lot of
who
teams in
actually
this
needs
group.
that energy? I'm gonna be
बहुत
looking at
अच्छी
Reject,
experience team
man.
है. Falcon
They're the
Falcon is a
last
very good
hope
team.
for Japan, and I'm
yes.
hoping that they have an
Ooh.
amazing,
4 AM
amazing performance
is
here this
obviously
week
the one
because
of the
that
top
is such
favorites.
a good region, and I feel like we just,
Um,
especially last week, we just
Yeah,
really didn't get a
Besiktas,
chance to
Turkish
see
team.
what
Turkish
Japan
teams have
is
shown a lot of
capable
aggression
Out of all
this
the teams
season.
that we're
Like
currently having here,
Fireflux
which
को
one's
आप
the
ले
one
लो.
that piques your interest? Imperial?
S2G को
There's
ले
so
लो.
many of them.
So far,
IHC
2 Turkish
Esports,
teams
they're the
गई हैं grand
OG
finals में.
Mongolian squad
So we just
formerly
have to see
exist.
how
They were
it goes.
the
पर सब
they were
तो
kind of the first big
practice कर रहे हैं
surprise on
बहुत
the global stage when we go back
समय
to
से.
Dubai. and
उतने time से
challenge
नहीं.
like to Nova and of course Navi back
अब
then.
आवाज को क्या
I've
हो
been
गया
talking
माइक
to
को?
Tempe,
एक
I've
सेकंड
been
रुको
able
मैं
to
आवाज भी
kind of
बढ़ाता हूँ.
get a bit of an insight on how the team have prepared for this
किसकी
stage,
आवाज
and I
बढ़ाऊं?
feel like
इवेंट की या मेरी?
Look at this here. Face, you can't be face palming this early 7. I don't think so. What do you think?
I think he
or
is
is it
not
just
face
hardcore
palming.
thinking?
Yeah,
it's brain
भाई
overload.
मैं बीमार
He's
हूँ,
thinking of
that
all
is
those
why.
strats. He's thinking of all those first plays that you can see on your bottom right-hand side. I mean, there is a 5th place in there, but they're not thinking that far back. They're just only worrying about the first place. And I mean, when we talk about Dig Xavier, this is a team that qualified from Vietnam via PMGC points. And then, I mean, the team that we just got a chance to talk to, we were talking about how they are that home team. Another
Game
team
sound
that
low कर
actually
दो.
qualified via
वो भी
PMGC
कर देते
points.
हैं.
Something to keep in mind. I was looking at all these PMGC teams that qualified just via the points and not
कर
actually
दी.
winning their championships. And so far, of every group, only one team for each group that made it here to the group stage from PMGC points has actually made it to grand finals. I'm really
ताकिर भाई
interested to
कोई
see
भी
if maybe
क्वालिफाइड
Group
करे
Jello is
अपना
gonna be
टीम
switching
तो
that
गया
up. Maybe we
फाइनल
might end
खेलने.
up seeing 2
हाँ भाई.
teams. What do you think, Imperial?
अभी फाइनल्स में
Well,
पता
it's an
चलेगा.
interesting
Missing Indian teams, yeah, bro.
strategy
It would have been a
going forward,
different,
and
I mean,
yeah,
like
the
a
benefit
completely
of,
different thing if
the
Indian
spring in the
teams
fall
were
is that consistency
there.
will
I mean,
allow you
who
to
wouldn't have
qualify
wanted
for
to
the
see them there?
PMGC, that level of kind
But
of
like boot camp
strong
में net
ability
चला
between
गया,
spring and fall.
सबकी
But if
stream
you're not winning
के L
tournaments,
लग
if you
गए.
get kind of
I
a
don't
little
know
bit
क्या हो गया उनको.
lackadaisical, if you get a little bit too, look, we've got this with the pointer in the bag, it's fine. You maybe lose a
See
little
the
bit
stats
that
in
hunger,
PMWI
that
Falcon.
hunger to win, that hunger to strike hard in these games. And when you're up at the PMGC stage, as we've seen already through the last 2 weeks, you got to be hungry for those wins.
100%.
Absolutely. These are going to be the matches that we're playing today. It's the same strats, same plays that we've seen so far in all the other groups. Started up in Airgale, got that Sandhawk right in the middle of that Airgale sandwich. So it's going to be a great show. A lot of fun here today. I hope you guys are excited. I'm excited to see some performances from a lot of the top players that I've seen perform here before. Like, you know, I look at Geek Bam, the name Yuhai automatically comes to mind. You know he's going to be hungry here in this tournament. I always like to see
किसका
players
चिकन
who play
फर्स्ट
this
गेम
level
का
before because they have
सर्कल पे
that
बताऊंगा.
just
देखते हैं.
experience, that feeling,
सर्कल
that
पे गैस
mental
करते हैं.
stability of just knowing what's coming. Their hands aren't shaking as much. They're still shaking, right? But not as much as some of the newbies.
Definitely. Like, he made his name for himself back in Team Secret. Then he was the first non-Indonesian player to sign for BTR, which was a big thing for
सब हम लोग गैस देंगे सर्कल पे किसका सबसे पहले चिकन किसका आएगा. ठीक है? Which team are you going to watch carefully in this group? Of course, Falcons, 4 AM. Falcons ने बहुत प्रॉब्लम दी थी यार PMWI में. पर PMWI में कुछ अलग ही सीन था वो फोन का भी. They are very well adjusted to the game, the phone and everything.
Players, but I think it's time we talk about y'all's team to watch. So these are some squads that, of course, my amazing analyst right here picked to keep an eye on here at the start of this day. 7, I see you got FaZe Clan on there, 4 Angry Men. You know, why don't you break it down for
And
us?
IHC. IHC is the very important
one. It's been a while
one.
since we have seen the PMGC. I think last time we
That's
saw
true.
them was when they ended up getting that 2nd place PMGC 2020, which is a long time. Ever since then, we really haven't seen them in a global stage. I'm intrigued to see what they're going to be bringing to the table. And then I'm going to go with Team Falcons as well, because this is a team, as I was alluding, there are some teams that have qualified through PMGC points. There are some teams that have been invited by being able to perform really well in certain tournaments. This is a team that performed really well in PMWI, but ever since then, they really have.
Do you see Falcons on the top of yellow group? I think so, yes. I think yes.
And then you have the 3rd place out of SEA Championship, which is FaZe Clan. A lot of people's favorite. I can't wait to see.
कौन सा टूर्नामेंट चल रहा है? By the way, सोल ने अभी 2 बार ड्रॉप क्लैश किया, दोनों बार मार खा ली. वो भी on stream.
Well, yeah,
Which tournament is there?
We both picked FaZe, then I changed to Reject.
किस tournament की बात कर रहे
Trying to
हो?
have a variation of teams, and Reject, yeah, they're the most experienced Japanese side. They have what it takes in terms of experience and ability. They've just got to put it all together. I picked Game Lord as well because obviously they're my Western friends, and I've seen this team and the players rise all the way back from PM.
सालिक्षा तौकीर भाई अब मटन नहीं भाई मैं मारतंड से पहले रहता हूँ.
They struggled
KP Road.
against bigger teams.
FaZe भी
even
अच्छी
in
टीम
just
है
European
वैसे.
Championships.
Yeah,
So in PMGC,
PUBG is
it's
not their
going
strength.
to be easy
FaZe की
for them. It's
PUBG
the first
strength नहीं.
foray into an international
ठीक खेल ली थी.
tournament. And yeah, then I went for IHC, and IHC are just IHC. They know what they can do.
Hey, I think all these teams got their work cut out for them for sure. I'm always interested in that first game of the day because, you know, it so much time, so much effort has came to playing here in the PMGC. This is a once-a-year tournament, everybody. Everybody works 365 days just to get to this point. So, you know, there's one thing I've always said that you cannot teach. You can
I
teach
think
patience,
IHC
you can teach
Falcon
gun skill,
4
but
AM.
you can't
ये
teach
तीन टीम होंगी
clutch. You
जितना
know,
मेरा
once you
दिमाग
got
बोल रहा
those
है.
cameras on you, you gotta be able to clutch it up here. And I think that we're gonna see some
Shadow
clutches
won't
here
do
today. So
watch party for
I think we are going to be seeing some clutches, and I'm really
or
intrigued
will
to see
he?
if we're going to be seeing any hot drops. Last week
Chacha
when
ji
we
ke
saw the
दिन है.
group of death, there were some
Yeah.
interesting hot drops in day one. I believe it was through the first 3-4 matches. I want to see if that's going to be happening again today and how some of those teams are going to be able to readjust. And also, what some teams might be doing different besides just the hot drops, the plane path. We saw a lot, and I mean a lot of south plane paths in Erangel, and we saw teams
Yeah.
being able to act completely different. I want to know how these teams are going to be adjusting. And I want to know if teams are going to be keeping track of what happened last week. Because if you remember, Hot Jukes,
No,
at the
bro.
last game
Shadow isn't.
of last week,
Oh my
Yeah.
we saw a
gosh.
nice hot drop Nova. And I really
Irshad,
feel like
Walaikum
that cost
Salam.
Nova the
All good,
first
bro. Don't
place
know the
finish.
tournament. I was
I'm
just,
sure a
bro,
lot of people are
it's
going to be keeping
the
track
game
of
is
that,
not
period.
there. It's just a random thing.
110%.
They might
It
be
is such an
playing.
open
Unka
door for what these teams can pull out of the bag. You can see GK
Ka
Esports, they're going to be
बहुत
ready.
बड़ा
I love that you
क्या?
mentioned the clutch factor, Jukes. It is something that
I said
can't
Lala
be
for
taught
watch
and
party
can
on
only
stream.
be
He said
shown
he will do
when
it
you're in
on
those
YouTube.
moments and you
Yeah,
need to
maybe.
pull it out of the bag. You make that 1v3 play and the world goes
GK भी
wild
बहुत अच्छी team है भाई.
alongside you.
GK
But
is also something that you
on
should
the
look
other
at.
side, you can do things to help yourself. Getting experience in terms of being on this kind of stage in the past. If you haven't been here before, on a LAN event, it's going to be so much harder for you to pull out that clutch factor. We all know that it's way easier for players to be comfortable in their own bedroom, on their own pillow, in their own surroundings. But when you're in this kind of, you know, unknown entity, yes, you have your teammates by your side, but you have all the other 15 teams around you. That's when the nerves kick in. That's when it starts to get scary and things go through your mind. When things go through your mind, you're far less focused on the game.
Imperium, I'm so
You know,
glad
and
you mentioned that. I just want to chime in a little bit on that because we saw that last week perfectly, and I'm sorry I keep bringing in last week. It was
Go
just
for
an
it.
amazing group green.
Oh,
and I'm
yeah.
pretty sure a lot of these teams were definitely keeping an eye on it and seeing how some of the other teams were able to react. I mean, Godlike Sour, this is a team that struggled in the first couple of days. You were actually able to see their frustrations when we showed the players, but they were able to turn it around. And that's something that a lot of the teams here that I'm going to be looking at in Group Yellow, I'm hoping they're going to be able to do. If for some reason they do have bad 3 first games, I'm hoping it doesn't get to their head. And if it does get to their head, hopefully it gets out of there very quickly because they're going to have to adjust very, very fast, Hot Jukes.
Oh, they're going to have to adjust really fast. Yeah, I like how you talked about clutch factor, you know, and then last week, I got to say it last time, you know, Fire Flux clutched it up so hard in the last game.
Yeah.
And I'm really looking to see that coming up here really soon. But, you know, I also want to chime in on what you mentioned earlier, you know, Imperium. You know, the crazy part is, you know, some of these players, they even like to maybe be playing laying down, you know, laying down,
Yeah.
you know, like you mentioned with that pillow, a whole different scenario. Now they have to sit in that chair with the lights on, not in a dark room, you know,
Okay.
playing, you know, on a new device. And they're
Watcher
gonna
और
have to
तौकीर
just
भाई
adapt
कैसे
to
हो?
that
बढ़िया
and
भाई.
get
I
it
said
done.
Lala
There's
for
no
watch party
excuses,
and
I think,
stream.
because everyone's
Okay.
playing
And
on
which
the
team are
same
you
level
supporting in
playing
this
field.
group? I
That's
think
gonna make a big
IHC or
difference here
Falcons.
today. And speaking of today, it's
Your
time
predictions?
to get today
IHC
started. Let's get
Falcons.
match number 1 going, and let's take it on over to
4
our
a.m.
casters. It's Zute and
What do you think when BTC will go up? BTC won't go up yet, bro. It will take a lot of
Thank you,
time
Hot
unless the
Jukes. You
macroeconomy is not
absolutely
fixed. BTC will go
nailed
nowhere.
that one. And yes, this is the new week.
Plus,
I am
there are a
joined
lot
by
of things
S
that are
Proxy.
happening.
We're in
जैसे
week
कि
number
अभी
3 and
FTX
man, from week number
collapsed,
1
then
and
FTX
2, the
got
action has
hacked.
been non-stop, always full of surprises. S Proxy,
There is
welcome
a
to the PMGC.
lot of stuff happening, bro.
What are some things you're
Lot of
looking
stuff
forward to in
happening.
particular?
So
I
once,
mean,
until and unless those
analysts, they
things are not
mentioned
fixed,
it
I don't
earlier,
think
just the
BTC will
fact that
go
we're
up.
seeing
It
all of
might
these
come even
players
further
hitting
down.
everything. They're on the same devices, they're on the same
GK is
ping.
very good
There's no
team,
ping difference for once, and
but
they're going to be
they
hitting
haven't
it at
been
an
like
equal
really
footing. So now we
consistent
truly
since a
get to
while.
see who's going to be
कोई भी
rising to
qualify
the
हो
top, all
सकता
the
है दो
work
दिन.
that the different
Yeah, to be
regions
honest, it
and the
depends.
core
पहले दो
ends
दिन
come to
लीड
the
कौन कैसे
stage to
बनाता है.
bring that performance
अगर
here.
आप ग्रीन ग्रुप का
That's what
देखोगे
I'm
ना तो
waiting to
ग्रीन
see. I'm
ग्रुप
waiting to
में
see who's going to be that
सबसे
first
बड़ी
team to
चीज
step
ये
on
थी
out
कि
above the rest.
ग्रीन ग्रुप
If I could
had
give you some advice, I would
insane
say walk
competition. कोई
alone.
मतलब
It's gonna
8
be
नंबर का भी एक
an
चिकन निकालता है, 10
absolute
नंबर वाला एक चिकन
roller
निकालता है तो
coaster
टॉप 3 था.
of a ride. Day by
Unlike,
day, we're gonna see
मतलब
storylines
अगर आप
develop. We're
उससे
gonna see
पहले जो
teams
ग्रुप
rise
का
to the
हुआ
top. We're gonna
रेड
see
ग्रुप का,
teams drop to
उसमें
the
वो
bottom
सीन
and
नहीं था
rise
पहले
back to
से ही.
the
फॉर
top.
एग्जांपल
It's gonna be
Kemen
nonstop.
and Infinity ने
It's,
like
it's
they had
exactly what
created
happened
a
week
huge
1
lead, nobody
and
could
week
even
2,
get
and
close
I'm
to
not
them.
expecting
So उसमें
anything
top 3
different
4 5 के
week
बीच
3.
में
And as you can
competition
see
था.
on these player cams here, man, the focus is already on. These players are already, you know, getting into tip-top form, hopefully. We have IHC there, Falcons, a lot of heavy-hitting teams. Not as scary as the group of death, but I feel like the competition's going to be just as close.
It's also that question of what's going to happen in this group. I feel like this group is going to be one of the most unpredictable groups because we're looking at it, unlike the group of death, we knew who was going to be rising to the top. We knew there were a few names that were going to be surprising us, but this time, Zute, it's a whole different question mark.
Definitely, and we are heading into match number 1. Man, I feel like the break from last week to this week was so long. I just want to see more PUBG Mobile action, and we're finally here, and this is actually going to start off with a very nice even playing path. Quick question as proxy. Hot drops, yes or no?
Ooh. You see, this is the thing. If we were talking about the
इसमें drop clashes है एक दो team.
scrims, if you were talking about some of the drop sites they were looking at there, I would say yes. There were quite a significant amount of potential hot drops. I mean, we had Besiktas, we had Furious Gaming and 4 Angry Men going towards Pachinki, then we also had 4 Angry Men there towards Gatka, and now all of those are those potential hot drops. Well, they're easy to reach with this flight, Spark.
Oh yeah, definitely. This flight, very good for all the teams, but like you mentioned, also very easy for teams to reach where they want to go and contest. But so far, seeming
Crazy
like everyone's
foes
going
थे
to be
वो तो.
spread out quite evenly. For
जो
AM
Firefox ने last में
and
किया था, that was, yeah bro,
BK
that was
very
really
close
crazy.
to one another. But I think
Nectofile,
that will
Tokir
be
भाई
the
views
split
है ना
now,
यार.
since it's the same split we saw
भाई views
yesterday
मत देख,
in
achievement देख,
scrims. So I
achievement.
think everybody is kind of familiar with
Number
the
1 on
drops,
green
of
group.
course, and
Ha
there's no
ha.
heavy contention right off the bat. Up in Yasnaya, though, we see 2 teams
Jokes on you, my
stretching
friend.
that
Jokes
way.
on you.
It can be shared
I
quite
really
easily,
think
but
we are
the
here for
question
the
is,
views.
will they decide to share it? Looks like both teams kind of hovering towards the left side of Yasnaya.
Yeah, just moving a little bit more towards that western portion, hopefully looking for an easier entry point. It makes sense, if they dropped on a little bit early, that's just the flight path that they would have taken all the way down to the land. But we'll
Okay.
wait and see if they will be able to navigate that quite fairly. Maybe they don't really want to jump into an early contention just yet. Still, feel out the competition, understand the stage that they're in and the teams that they're going up against. I mean, they've got a certain idea in scrims, but as we've already seen, I mean, Hot Drop's completely different from what we saw in scrims, and that could go in the same token for the gameplay.
Oh, already we got a knock. IHC and 4AM. That's a long range one with a sniper.
Oh shit, Tokir
Ooh,
भाई,
with a
oh,
mini.
you mean
4AM's
that?
knock. That should be
Okay,
an easy
Yido
win right
Alliance,
there, right?
yeah.
They're
इस group
cross
में
the
y'all का
waters
काम
from
FG
each
करे
other.
देख
But
लेना.
IHC already
Yeah,
starting
dude,
off.
I
This
don't
is
know,
one
I
of the
don't know.
teams I want to
Which
keep
one?
an eye out for. Formerly known
Oh,
as Zeus,
4AM का पहले ही
the
knock.
brethren team of
कैसे?
stalwarts that made it.
भाई IHC बहुत
last week.
एग्रेसिव खेलती है,
Wondering if this
बहुत
team will
एग्रेसिव
also
खेलती है.
show
पूरे
up,
साउथ
make it
एशिया में
into
अगर
the
किसी
top
टीम ने
3
हमारा नाक में
for
दम किया
this
है ना,
week.
तो वो
Yeah, and
सिर्फ
I mean,
IHC है.
we kept talking
It's
a little
another
bit,
Mongolian
I
team.
saw on the socials, everyone freaking out about 4 Angry Men as well. These two teams, they are very much tied in destiny because we had IHC coming third in the 2020 Pmgc. We had 4 Angry Men coming through in second place for the 2020 Pmgc. So maybe that shot was just a little hello, just greeting their former competitors and just making sure that they're going to try and assert some dominance at least a little bit earlier on.
He hit 2 with the iron
way.
sight?
Excuse me?
Okay, well, things it might not be a hot drop as proxy, but we already got
no,
some
but it was actually.
we already got some hot shots.
T2K भी अच्छी team है, but I don't know how
And he hit 2?
well they can adapt to this
Oh
thing.
man.
No.
I would expect that maybe by day number 2, where everyone's a bit more warmed up and ready. But sheesh, I guess IHC, man, they are more than warmed up. They're already firing hot.
You know, I even would expect it in a few of the later matches. You know, after you've played a few, you know, you've gotten into your groove. Maybe you're feeling a little bit good with some achievements. You know, some points in the back pocket. But no, just straight off the bat. So, like I said, it could be a point of, you know, giving a hello, a welcoming point there to 4 Angry Men. But for the time being, IHC, they still have a few visitors either towards that North Georgiapol area or even towards Hospital. We've got VK that have moved, Viva Keed, sorry, moving up from that position specifically. But I mean, we've mentioned 4 Angry Men, we've mentioned IHC. Are there a few other teams that you're also keeping an eye out? I know you mentioned Furious Gaming, and they're very slick.
Even
You
Nova,
know,
everyone
shirts that
was
they've
why
got there
aren't they
with the
on
fade.
top 3,
But
and
who
in
else
3 matches
you're
they just
keeping an eye
showed
out?
what they can do. Yes, sir, we
We're
did.
curious how the Rejects are going to do because they've played in Pmgc before, but I feel like overall Japan as a region has yet to shine. Right, they do actually have their own Premier League over in Japan, so they do have players that play this game day in, day out. You know, it is their full-time job. Shout outs to one of my NA brethrens that actually ended up on a Japan team.
थर्ड
Unaided.
जोन
He's
से
currently
पहले
not
प्रेडिक्शन
competing,
दे दो,
but he
रुको
is at
जोन
the
देखने
venue.
दो.
And he's been telling me like it's been absolutely great seeing all the players, seeing all the old friends. But yeah, over in the Japan region, I feel like this might be their year to break out and shine, or they're just going to be right on the cusp of it. So definitely the Reject team. That's one team I'm looking out for. But I'm curious to know, as proxy, we have a whole slew of teams
लास्ट के
here
2 दिन
that all have
मैं
potential.
कोच
What is your
सेनेटर
team that
we
you're
will do watch
particularly looking
parties
out for
together.
and why?
What do you
Oh,
guys
hold
think?
up, thought might actually get into some action
Maybe
here.
Zayan भी आएगा
Trigger driving by, really close.
इस ग्रुप के
Stood
लास्ट
up
के 2 दिन.
slightly, but he should be okay.
Yeah, hopefully going to be taking that path. Line of sight right out into safety. Nongshim Red Force just, again, just some welcome hellos as the rotations are going to be making their way through. And I mean, all of this, it's happening within the zone. There is plenty of space within the zone still to be taken up, so they should be able to get themselves well situated. You mentioned one of the teams that I'm looking out for. I'm definitely just keeping my eye out on Falcons because of that invitation, because they are here.
Bhai,
with that
NSR,
pressure coming
NSR,
through
NSR.
from that Middle
Oh,
East
how
and
can
Africa
I...
region. I
Bro,
gotta give it
did
up
you
for
see
anyone coming
how
through from that
good
region, because
NSR
over there,
is?
I watched them perform, and I want to see
NSR
them
is
take it
very
further.
good. It is a
Alongside that, I
very,
mean,
very good
it's
team.
IHC
अभी
for me. We
scrims
saw,
मैंने
you
इनकी
know, a little
देखी
bit of that
थी.
action in some scrims. We saw a
Somebody
little
sent
bit
me
of
their
that
gameplay, etc.,
beautiful,
and we were just looking up.
coherent, you know, gameplay and the teamwork
Very
that they were
good. How
bringing
can
in.
I...
So I feel like they're going to be
They're
definitely
crazy
a
good.
force to be reckoned with.
Taking a look
बहुत
at the
aggressive
map
खेलते
here.
हैं. इनके scrims
First
देखना.
is on the eastern side. You see a lot
PMGC
of teams
scrims
having
देखना
to
अब इनके.
rotate through these hillsides. Quite easy to rotate through. I have to say, you will definitely receive some damage and some shots. But with the terrain here, with it being so wide sloping, you can maneuver downhill or uphill to avoid those shots. And it seems like that's what a lot of teams are doing. We are 7 minutes in. And a lot of teams are rotating early. The center of the map starting to get filled up. Of course, you also have those teams that play from the edge and just take their time. So two drastically different
सर्कल
styles, but
दिखाओ.
4
तौकीर
a.m.
भाई जॉनी को बोलो रेड
Fast and
मारने पे
Furious
आपकी
here, and
चैनल
that is a
डायरेक्ट
Rejects,
50-40
the
के.
first team to suffer a
भाई
casualty. I was just
सब्सक्राइबर
saying,
के
I
लिए
was
नहीं
looking out
बैठे
for
रे
the
भाई.
Rejects. It's that caster curse kicking in, maybe.
We said you can't mention any team. You can't talk about
You
them in
asked me.
any way.
You asked me. I blame you as
Okay,
proxy.
okay, fine. Okay, fine. I will take equal blame for that one. But next time it's all on
Oh,
you,
4
Zito.
AM ने
But I mean, for Rejects, yes, they are going to be slimmed down just a
RC
slight
का
tad. They are
नाम
going to
निकाल
lose
दिया.
that one member. It is unfortunate, but at least the rest of the players are still going to be able to take that and move on through right past Rozok. So they should be able to get themselves situated. They're still not out of this at all. There's still an
No.
opportunity to fly that Rejects flag up high and hopefully bring it home for the first match.
Yeah, Rejects is also a team that, from what I can recall, they are not usually an edge team. They like to play more center to get
World Cup
a
कौन
bit
कौन
more
देख रहे हैं?
comfortable. And I feel like for
जल्दी बताओ.
as dangers of being the lead, they're going to keep continuing as the circle shrinks one more time. A little bit to the southeast, as you can see the eastern side completely empty for now.
And I like what some of the teams are actually doing, taking that southern coastline approach. We saw Geekfam doing exactly that. One of the teams that are currently sticking to the edge, but Falcons making me proud and at least stepping up to find one potential.
Oh,
elimination
Falcon picked
there,
up
at least
one.
with the knock coming through. We'll see if they will be able
Hey,
to get
क्या
that
हो गया
confirmation.
इसको?
Looks like they will. So an opportunity at least just to, you know, pad those eliminations in the back pocket, but they still have quite a long way to go. We can see that entire western portion of the zone so extremely stacked.
Yeah, definitely. I'm surprised 4 a.m. is just cutting straight through the middle, but I guess they're already committed, right? Just by now, you can't loop back around, so they're going to suffer some shots right there. Rejects lose another player here, just trying to rotate
अब
through
ठीक
the
है,
center. I think teams are feeling
हो
out
जाता है,
rotation
बीच
time
बीच
to
में
let the
हो
game move
जाता है
right now. I think
भाई,
both
रिलैक्स
Rejects and
किया
4am are
करो
realizing, even if we're extremely fast,
आराम से.
other teams are just faster if we're not already starting out, near center circle. So we might see these two teams adjust and start doing some more wrapping rotations as Rejects find a bunker spot. For now, with only 2 up, however.
With 2 up against potentially the entirety of phase, we are well situated. And for the time being, relatively safe. GK Esports will just be hitting a few shots their way, so they've got that information to work with, running down here towards the valley points. And this is now the question, of course. I mean, those rotations coming in with all of the teams now trying to stack up into this next phase.
क्या
Like
हुआ
you
था
said,
पता
those
नहीं भाई,
rapid
इसका क्या
rotations
हुआ था.
potentially
आई गेस
like
कुछ
Geek Fam
बग
taking a more
वगैरह था.
southern approach, maybe even heading into that eastern portion. I mean, that
कभी
would
कभी
be
ये
a
फीड में हो
massive
जाता है.
opportunity for any of the teams because with the flight path, they might know
अर्जेंटीना
those
सऊदी
limit
वाला
drops as
मैच
well.
देखा
That
क्या? हाँ
there's an
भाई,
opportunity towards the east. It might be a bit more open. It might give us a little bit more safety into this next phase.
आई नो सब्सक्राइबर के लिए नहीं बैठे, पर लगना तो चाहिए ना कि कैसे लगता है एसटी का ओनर बैठा है भाई.
In sight. I'm also trying to keep an eye out for
मतलब
like
बता फिर वो गोल्ड चेन
another team
वगैरह
that
लगा
plays
के
like
रखता हूँ मैं,
HVVP, right?
गॉगल्स वगैरह, वो
HVVP,
महंगे महंगे
they
कपड़े
are
लगा के बैठते
just
हैं.
they play on the edge, straight up. They
वो
barely,
रंग
if
बिरंगी.
ever, rotate more. Center. They're always on the edge side, and
भाई
rejects actually
सिंपलिसिटी
having some
इज
visitors
बेस्ट.
knocking on their bunker steps. Might
ठंड
be able
रहो
to get that
यहाँ
revive.
से,
Good defense out of the rejects teams as
बसट.
D Xavier was the ones that crashed in, and they took fire from both, I think, FaZe and the reject team. But as far as edge teams go, maybe T2K. That'll be the team that plays more from the edge side. Next circle centers right on up very nicely for a majority of the teams here.
Namaste, tree
And I
to
mean,
get trained to
the
kill.
interesting point there for the Xavier is they sent those 2 in to scout out the shelter position. Obviously got a little bit of a shock when they found rejects instead of an open shelter. And then to add on to that pressure, we had the likes of Genesis Dogma Gids actually applying that third-party action and just helping with those
ये
eliminations.
मैच
So
के
the pressure's not really going to be letting
बाद
up anytime
जॉनी
soon for
व्लॉग
rejects. If they go
रिएक्शन.
forward, they find Genesis. If they go back, they find
कौन
FaZe.
सा जॉनी
So
व्लॉग?
we'll have to see how they get themselves out of that situation. But for the time in, they're locked down. They can't really make another
Which
rotation.
vlog?
No. 4am getting a knocked on Furious Gaming. I do believe that's a long-range knock. Oh, actually, confirmation. Yeah, okay. Scout player getting extremely close. 4am find themselves in a nice dip just north of the other dip right here. The 2 dips that are left in the center of the circle. Both positions very strong. Geek Fam here coming out on the western side. They have to move on in. Game Lords
I
right
really
in
want
front
to
of them.
see
Both
fight
teams looking
between
for a
Falcon
spot
and
on
4am.
the edge. And that's pretty much all that is open at this point in the game, as everyone had already centered up. Previous Game Lord gets knocked.
Ooh.
It's actually Keystars there from distance.
Delhi
getting some
meetup.
shots into the Game Lord team.
I didn't
Vivo
see
Key
the
moving
video
on in
yet,
just for
but
a little bit of long-range
I had pretty good
engagement,
response.
looking for a few
Very
eliminations
nice.
here and there. What's
He
interesting
had a
to me
good
is the way that
response there
Game Lord
from the
actually
audience, as
managed to cut
expected.
off Geek Fam, because for the longest time they were the ones chasing after Geek Fam's position, and then I think Geek just took a little bit of a time to readjust, maybe get some looting going, and that gave the opportunity for Game Lords just to cut in front of them. But I don't know how happy they will be about the situation, because as you said, they've just run into Vivo Key now. And now it's a question, do they actually take this engagement? Do they try and disengage and potentially give Vivo Key the angle onto them?
It's going to be tough. Game Lords, they're still looking for a way in. They have 2 in the backlines outside of zone, providing supporting fire and just sight lines. They have 1 player in the edge of circle, but they definitely can't stack on that, as Geek Fam looking for their home. They'll find a position right on the very edge at the compound uphill. IHC in a very strong position in my opinion. They may be on the edge, but they do have access to that hillside right in front of them. And we're nearing the next circle shift, taking a look at the minimap. Pretty much every team is in somewhat comfortably besides Game Lord. They are still being kept out by Vivo Keyed. Might end up having to be a full engagement, but Game Lord already down to 3. Might be the next team to suffer more casualties. They will start grouping up a little bit, and Vivo Keyed, I expect a stronger... Yep, it looks like they are going to retaliate. I was going to say expect stronger retaliation as this late in the game. You
Okay,
can't
I'm
just
trying
have a
to
team
bring
on your backside. Time to
Wes
go for the
Bolte.
points in the next circle.
Let's
We'll
see.
go out hard to the north.
OS को check, OS
Oh,
भी
that
watch
just
party
adds to
कर
the
रहा है
pressure
शायद.
that game lords are going to be experiencing. I mean, not only
So
have
I'll
they
have
basically been contained
VPN
out of
on
the zone
करता हूँ,
for the
शायद
longest time, now with
disconnect
that
हो जाए.
closure, now with that zone shift, well, they have to
What
make a
else
decision. This war of
is...
attrition no longer has an
Wait, I do
opportunity to
have
take it
actually
further,
this
so
thing
they're going to have to take that
installed.
rotation. Rejects right through Furious Gaming manages to pick, well, at least GK manages to pick one up for them, but they will lose one in the transition. So now, Rejects, time after time after time, they just keep losing players,
Okay,
and
we are
unfortunately,
connected.
that was the team.
Yeah, the rotations, I feel like it's pressure and nerves right there out of the Rejects team. The first team to be eliminated. Their brethrens of USG Donuts already knocked out entirely. They're the last remaining Japan team. They're also the premier team, I would say, coming out of Japan. So that added
Absolutely.
pressure and the nerves, I think it really got to them on game number 1. Didn't even manage to mount up a fight, just losing players one by one on very messy rotations, in my opinion. But this is the level of competition. As we get another one, Genesis Dogma gets pulled up on. That'll be one player down from that. This is all-out chaos. Not much hard cover left. All the hard cover already taken, so teams are forced to kind of fight for scraps and will have to take these engagements outside of zone to pick up whatever points they can.
No other option whatsoever. And again, these rotations, these crazy rotations, you keep finding each other, you know, changing up those initial drop sites with the added difference with that zone shifting all the way to the north is going to provide a few of those, you know, surprises as the teams are taking those rotations on in. Now, Vivo Keed looking towards Nongshim Red Force, but Geek Fam up here towards at least that western side holding a beautiful rotation, trying to find a little bit of damage onto Vivo Keed. Some good damage numbers, but it's not going to translate into a knock that they were looking for. Rather, it's Icy to pick one up.
Yeah, western side
ST का
getting
Indian
extremely
BGMI रोस्टर
crunched
आएगा
in
क्या
here
भाई?
now.
आएगा भाई.
We see multiple teams, 4 teams lined up on the western side,
आएगा,
all
आएगा.
looking for a position. Vivo
Once
Keed
game
getting
is back,
baited in.
obviously
A lot of
आएगा.
defensive smokes. I don't necessarily agree with those smokes. Blocks off all sight lines and just invites grenades to rain in on them without them being able to really fire off some shots. Nongshim Red Force here, not connecting with any of the nades though. Both teams not in the circle either. Blue zone is closing in. Nongshim has advantage here with that initial knock. And with the smoke lines blocking out the Vivo Keed, I like to see Nongshim get a little bit more aggressive towards their west side. They can't just both share this southwestern edge. They have to eliminate one or the other. And time is ticking. On the northwestern side, we have IHC against King Fam. And you can see IHC getting a bit more aggressive on the other side. This very veteran team knows what needs to be done and will take the risks to do it. IC goes down. Not able to get revived by any means, and IHC's aggression might have to just come to a falter here. And Vivo Keed actually taking one back,
IC
actually
goes
getting
down.
aggressive on Nongshim. Nongshim, like I said, they had an opportunity there, and if they're not going to take it, Vivo Keed will take it instead. 3 eliminations for them, and more importantly, they'll get in with all 4 and control the southwestern side.
That was massive for Viva Keed because you were talking about those smokes that they laid down. That was some of the last pieces of utility that we've seen. I mean, other than another 2 smokes on one player, that's all that they had left to try and help
Them is
them out of that
Indonesian
situation.
team.
So to be able to fight their way through is going to be massive, but unfortunately, their journey doesn't stop here. They still have to get themselves into the zone. Geek Fam is still fighting it up against IHC to provide them that space to move on forward to at least alleviate some pressure from the north. That nade going to be sent through, and it has to come with the connection. It's beautiful, and now only 1 member left for IHC before they can have some peace and quiet towards the north.
Geek Fam getting a nice advantage over
Hey, Discord को
IHC
क्या हो
there.
गया यार?
IHC down to 1. I think that's pretty much it for them. He might try and go for a shack position that's open, but that requires driving through multitudes of teams with sightlines trained on anything that is moving at this point. See what Demo could do here. We were actually watching Demo the entirety of the scrims yesterday.
yes.
Yeah, the camera was just on him, so now's the chance for a spotlight once again where it really matters in the actual match. Demo, he's going to wrap around to that northwestern side and then shoot on in. Good luck to him as Vivo Keed full sending into the dip, right into the likes of Furious Gaming, and they get decimated instantly. I won't say that's a bad play, because I've seen those full sends work out before. It does get very dicey, very hairy, but It did not work out for them whatsoever. Train to Kill on the other side, laying siege to the Besiktas Fortress. 4v4 situation happening on there. And meanwhile, in the rest of the middle of the zone, GK has been sitting pretty here in the hard compound, taking shots at everyone. Very comfortable. Satan there going down, however, trying to get a little bit over aggressive.
I think it's
Can't blame
Stem is
them. Want to
Indonesian
get some
or
more
Thai
points
team.
racked
Yeah.
up, but does not work out.
I mean, with the absolute rush that happened there for Furious Gaming, GK Esports should know what exactly is waiting for them towards that end. So that scouting party, you do have to back that up with a bit more numbers or at least a little bit more utility. Otherwise, you could be finding yourself well in and exposed. But we'll see how GK manage that situation for the time being over here towards Train to Kill and Besiktas. As you mentioned, Besiktas currently finding themselves in a little bit of an interesting position. They still have all 4 members up. They still have that compound. They still have that hard cover. But will they be able to recover as well as Game Lords now up against Geek Fam here at Zute?
Geek Fam has been asserting dominance early on. We saw the likes of IHC go down. Now Geek Fam controlling this northwestern side will look to rein in the nades. Should be good.
चलो अब करते हैं ओएस भाई के साथ वॉच
Not
पार्टी.
yet. Didn't get it through the window opening. But man, this northern side, so much action ramping up. Tem Entertainment coming in with 3 players. 1 player knocked out in the blue zone. Won't be able to get revived. They're going to have to look to take out another team to get fully into this circle. Geek Fam continuing to lay siege to that shack with multitudes of utility. 1 connecting there. That is 1 more down from Game Lords. Geek Fam looking to go for the finish as the next circle shifts down to the south. So all 3 teams on the northern side will have to finish this up. 1 player left for Game Lord. He's shimming back and forth, trying to dodge Molly, dodge the nades. It's good so far, but now he's got to dodge the bullets as well. Back into the shack, and man, this last player of Game Lords looking like Neo out here, dodging everything, but there we go. The final nade connects, but Tem Entertainment now looking towards the likes of Geek Fam.
Moving on in from that northern side, trying to scout out what's happening here. There's already lost 1 member, but at least up against Geek Fam, they will be finding themselves on equal footing. But it's about that information over to this ridgeline. They don't yet have line of sight. Bevy moving up to try and find that information that's going to be crucial for the team. Because as we know, they still need to find their position in zone. They still need to get themselves in a safe position for this next phase. And right now, it's about that information. It's about that rotation. They can't make that rotation until they get rid of Geek Fam.
Back onto phase here, laying siege to the GK team. 1v3s. Oh, self-nade. He cooked out a second too long, and the jump shot through the crack in the opening. GK, they thought they could leave 2 members there to deal with the last member of phase, but this man has been proving more trouble than expected. Now it's a 2v1. He finishes through the revive. His revive goes down instantly, and that is Ragnar with the clutch 1v2, and he gets full reset onto his team. Back up to 3. The Besiktas siege with Train to Kill still ensuing here. Train to Kill, 1 player knocked. It does look like Besiktas has lost 2 players, however, so Train to Kill in a much better position. Back to the northwest, Geek Fam trying to conquer this side of the circle. They will find this shack position open, down to 1 player. Geek Fam up to 6 eliminations, so proving quite well for their casualties.
Falcon eliminated? What?
At the very least, 4 AM has been blessed with the circle here. So it looks like losing 1 member early for those rotations straight down the middle, way early on, paying off really well for them here.
It's one of the few teams that has actually been zone blessed here towards the later phases. The rest have all had to awkwardly try and move closer and closer. One of those teams being Besiktas, who we can see now, unfortunately, experiencing some repercussions for their rotations here. 1 will be going down to only 1 member for Besiktas. And we remind you, they still have to get past Train to Kill. Over on the western side, we've got Geek Fam slowly moving up right alongside Furious Gaming, but towards the northern side, they've got 4 AM. So Geek Fam, Zute, they find themselves in a sandwich.
I think they'll be fine for this circle, particularly on that flat side. No teams can really peek out at them because so much crossfire happening everywhere. Train to Kill, down to 1 now. Their fight with Besiktas looks so good. It was a 4v2, and now all of a sudden, this is the entire... This guy, Enjoy, has 4 eliminations. I think that is the first 1v4. I don't know how he managed to do that all by himself. maybe getting ahead of them, using that UAS with some nasty quick tight peeks. Cut down the entirety of Train to Kill. And that's Train to Kill out. Clutch indeed for Besiktas. Geek Fam here on the flat. Like I said, they're good for now. Up
Nay,
to
4
9
AM I think
eliminations,
chicken.
but Circle shifts off of them. They'll have to once again head into the fray. And now there's a 3-man team of 4 AM, another 3-man team of Furious Gaming. And GK sitting very comfortable with 3 at the hard cover with pure sightlines onto everyone.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the better positions. I mean, they've got cover virtually everywhere. It only might be this looming threat of Enjoy off of the bat of that crazy 1v4 that can make something happen and can really be a thorn in the side of GK Esports. But for the time being, over here towards 4 Angry Men, they keep their focus. Geek Fam rather, is lurking in abouts. And we also have wonderful team here of Furious Gaming who are just waiting for their time to get involved.
यार
Again,
4
it's
AM
coming
वैसे
down to
बड़ा
that
अच्छा
numbers
नाम है,
game.
4
They
Angry
really
Men.
want to get involved with a team that has the upper hand, that has more players. But Geek Fam, they're scrambling. They need to get into zone.
They need to make a play happen, and they try it, and wow, great cover fire. And Snipes actually manages to stay alive. Furious Gaming
Oh crap.
getting picked apart. Geek Fam with an insane entry right there. Great job out of Mika there, providing the support line fires, getting the knock instantly, and Snipes just managing through the skin of his teeth, surviving, not getting knocked. He will be able to get a heal off as well. And now it looks like Furious Gaming, which looked comfortable enough, is getting sieged on by Geek Fam. And through all this chaos, we have another fight coming. Besiktas finally does go down, so that thorn inside taken care of. Geek Fam, 10 eliminations, about to make that 11. All he's got to do is pop in and fire off some shots, and there we go. We're down to the last 3 teams. Geek Fam, definitely the team that has impressed me the most so far for this match.
I mean, we have to remind ourselves that they're running as a duo right now with 11 eliminations. They keep finding teams, and it looks like they have no idea. They have no threat of backing out just yet. Over to those 3v3s that we were talking about. It's GK Esports and 4 Angry Men that have the better numbers, but will Geek Fam be able to climb that mountain high to take on that challenge and to end up as one of the last teams standing right now in quite a bit of a position, as both of those 3-man teams are applying pressure to their situation and their current position. And once again, GK Esports, they find themselves absolutely zone blessed.
Man. Give the circle over to Geek Fam, man. They worked for it. Coming in from the northwestern side, dealt with IHC, dealt with multitude of teams on the north, cleaned out the last player at the shack to take the flat, and then had to press in, downhill, being shot at by every team that was up, and then taking out Furious
Right.
Gaming, and they still
Positioning,
don't
I
get
think
the favor of
GK
the
is at a
Circle gods.
very good
I don't know.
positioning.
But then
GK.
again, they've lost Circle every time, and all they've been doing is just been picking up eliminations. So maybe this will
GK
work
guy
out for the
chicken
better
hai.
of them. This is going to be the most difficult one yet, though. Meanwhile, 4 AM on the northern side. They'll lose the cover of the dip, so yeah, they have to leave the dip side. It looks like they'll lay down some smokes and use their vehicles as a last-ditch attempt at some hard cover. Ideally, I think 4 AM chokes out the Geek Fam team, and then with the last 3, goes in for the last fight with the side of GK. Actually, they're not going to wait to choke out the team of Geek Fam. They're going to go ahead and slam right in already. 4 AM now turning on the aggression. This gives an opening for Geek Fam to maybe get into this zone as well.
This is the best possible opportunity here for Geek Fam. As 4 AM, they take on their only other competitors with the 3 men still up. It is GK Esports. Gaith right now trying to hold them off with a few nades, a few mollies being sent on out just to make this approach for them as difficult as possible. Has at least ticked down those HP bars to half, but it's going to be Ragnar and Hope that have to apply that backup, that have to give that backup and that covering fire. Otherwise, Gaith might be finding themselves in a difficult position. Ragnar now moving on up as Gaith goes down to a nade. So 4 Angry Men, they might take this as the trigger to move on up.
Yeah, that's another really good nade right there. Knocking that player down to have to get the confirmation too. That should be an easy revive for the 4 AM team, as now GK on the back foot will probably play a bit more passive. There is still a team of Geek Fam out here for both teams to deal with, and Hope gets one of Geek Fam. 4 AM picks up the other. We're down to the last 2 team. It's a 2v2 situation. Savan here, such a veteran player. We have seen this player all year long. They get the revive. 3v2. GK on the back foot here. Emchain pushing up close, establishing pressure. All the meanwhile, 4AM getting ever so closer. Do they know Ragnar is in that shack though? They're throwing util at the building. If they had an idea of clearing out the shack, I feel like at least one util would have gone their way. So they got to be careful. And just as I say that, they do check the shack with the grenade. 3v1 situation.
Finally, OS bolte. OS bhai kaise ho?
1v3. UMP out on the side gets one, can get the second one,
All
but the
good, bro,
trade
all
is good. And that is 4AM coming back from a very quiet year last year. This
अरे मेरे भी दिमाग से ऊपर निकल,
team
दिमाग खराब
looking
कर देता
so
है।
strong.
मैंने
Then
बोला था ना
last year, they
4 AM
pretty
चिकन
much
निकालेगी
fizzled out
इसमें,
and
लोगों
disappeared. They
लोगों
are
को
back
बोला था
again
मैंने
this
मैंने
year,
कहा था
and they
4
are
AM
back with
निकालेगी।
vengeance, taking the very first chicken dinner of the week for Group Yellow.
You might even say that 4 angry men are back from the grave and they're ready to take that
मैं भी नहीं देख पाया, मैं भी तुम्हारा ये ट्राई कर रहा था डिस्कॉर्ड ज्वाइन करने
making
की।
statements here on the first map and bringing in a beautiful performance. I mean, towards that final path, I was worried. You know, we mentioned it. The best possible opportunity for them would have been to find Geek Fam first, then worry about GK Esports, and even in that initial entry to GK Esports,
even if there is issue, I know
difficult.
people.
I mean, there were mollies, there were nades.
There is no
Every which
issue,
way
by
you
the way.
looked,
Everybody is
4
doing it.
angry men, they didn't have an opportunity to just take a breath. Yet they made it happen, and it came down to that clinical precision, that execution towards those final phases, just slowing things down and ticking off the boxes, making sure they're doing everything right.
Take a look at that Geek Fam. That's the util use. That just shows how much they had to fight through. But ultimately, Geek Fam with the eliminations, it came down to 4 AM getting the massive chicken dinner, and we are setting the stage for a great week number 3.
ओएस कितने टाइम बाद कर रहा है तू अभी आज लाइव स्ट्रीम? तू घर पे बूट कैंप पे है? ओएस भाई ग्रीन ग्रुप का मैच देखा तूने? ग्रुप ग्रीन देखा क्या तूने?
And it's the 4 angriest of the men that pull out the
तूने
first
तो
chicken
पूरी
dinner in Group
मूवी
Yellow. What's
मिस
going on,
कर
everybody?
दी यार।
This is how you get a tournament started right here. We know that 4 AM have to be super hyped after that one. Hey, but Geek Fam and GK also putting up some big points. at the
मचा
start
रे
of
ले
game
भाई।
7.
An amazing performance there at the 4 angry men, 11 eliminations, and
मचा रे ले।
X-Proxy were able to mention it perfectly too. After a long time, after a long hiatus,
ओएस भाई
being at the
बोलते
global
हैं
stage,
ओएस को
sending
सब
that
पता है
extended
इसका गेम कब
message.
आएगा।
GK though, that was impressive up until the ending period. I felt like they should have done
मेरे को
at
कुछ
least
भी नहीं
a
पता
split.
भाई।
They shouldn't have stayed in the house for that
Yes.
long, and they should have
अरे
actually kept
कसम से
hope
मेरे
there
को
because
कुछ
it
भी
worked
नहीं
out
पता,
really
लेकिन
well.
सुना आएगा, जल्दी आएगा, जल्दी आएगा, सुनने
It
में आया
was
कि
just a
जल्दी आएगा।
little bit too late indeed. Looking at the head-to-head though, Kunshan
I
and
think
Minka of
I think
Geek
people
Fam.
have forgot
What a
patience now, so
performance
there
from
should be a
himself.
little bit of
4
patience.
eliminations, 755 damage. He was absolutely on point.
है ना?
They lost 2 players at the midpoint.
ओएस भाई की आवाज नहीं आ रही
So
भाई।
strongly with just 2 players there.
एक सेकंड
Of
रुक
course,
जाओ।
4 angry men. They won the game. Kunshan, welcome back, 33 fam.
Ooh. I'm really excited to see somebody from Furious Gaming right there. Trigger with a 5 eliminations and only
अभी आ रही है क्या?
288 damage.
Yeah.
That is
एक
so
second,
impressive
एक
because
second,
you
एक
know
second.
he was looking to steal those
Out of bike,
eliminations,
it's
which is
only
always
like
comes in clutch for his teams. And
Brazil
by their
is
precision,
a
how they were able
obviously
to just hold up people from their position. At one point, we actually thought they were going to.
ब्रो इस वर्ल्ड कप में कुछ नहीं बोल सकते।
We saw Vivo
सऊदी
Hey,
अर्जेंटीना को चूना लगागी,
हाँ।
जापान जर्मनी को चूना लगागी।
ये वर्ल्ड कप में बोलने से
Furious
तो बात
Gaming
तो
actually
अच्छी
came out
जिसमें
super
अच्छे
aggressive.
प्लेयर्स
I
हैं ना,
love how many
मतलब सारे
eliminations he
नोन
got, and I
प्लेयर्स
think
हैं।
Trigger was
वो टीम अच्छा ही खेल रही है।
Yeah, I was
जैसे
dis-
आप देखते हैं
I was
स्पेन
kind of a
स्पेन
little
का अच्छा
bit worried
टीम
about
स्पेन में सब
Furious
क्लास
coming
प्लेयर
into the PMGC.
Yeah.
When we look back at the PMPL
ब्राजील
Americas,
में भी
they
ऑलमोस्ट सारे क्लास
finished
प्लेयर
in 9th place. They didn't really look like a solid team that
Agreed.
could consistently perform. Maybe that's because they knew they already had their ticket, but yeah, I was worried about them, but very happy with how they performed in this game.
बोल नहीं सकते कल बेल्जियम के सामने कनाडा क्या खेली
Until
है
you get it done
बाप रे
there.
बाप
I know, right?
26 to 26 or 27 है
First one we're going to see here in this group. You know, what are your expectations?
That was
खेल
hilarious.
क्या बोला कनाडा
For the first
फर्स्ट
one.
टाइम उन लोग
My
क्वालीफाई किए
eyes
फॉर
are
द
going to
वर्ल्ड
be
कप
absolutely
Yeah.
glued to Picado. I want to see if anybody is going to try to
बहुत
hot
अच्छा
drop.
लगा
We
देख
didn't see
क्या
any
मतलब
hot
मेहनत
drops
कर रहे थे
there
प्रेसिंग
on Erangel, but we did
भाई,
see some teams willing to take some
मैं बोला
shots.
ना ये वर्ल्ड कप इतना
Gotta give a
अजीब हुआ है
massive
ना,
shout out to
पूछो मत,
IHC.
अजीब अजीब चीजें हो रही हैं वहाँ पे.
I mean,
Yeah.
the nasty shots with the Ironside Car 98 that he took on 4 Angry
सब
Men
आदमी
just
ने
to make him
स्ट्रांग
back
टीम
off.
जिंदा
I want to see that here in Miramar as well. Obviously, it's a little bit harder.
उसमें भी सारे क्लास प्लेयर हैं
here and there,
भाई
but
सऊदी
ऐसा
में
नहीं
यूएई
landing
में
close to each other.
सेलिब्रेशंस ही
I
नेक्स्ट लेवल
love
की
it
थी.
here. I love
Next level.
saying, hey, don't come this way. We're here.
110%. It is about
तो
sending a
फ्रांस
message.
को लगा
Even
फ्रांस के
before
बहुत स्ट्रांग
Anchor Man
पर फ्रांस के
ended up
तीन
kind of
मेन
the
प्लेयर इंजर्ड है
biggest victors of the
कौन
tournament.
कौन?
मेन प्लेयर
Off the back of that initial
कौन?
win.
बेंजेमा
Great.
पॉग्बा और
Well, I see,
कांटे
yeah, it is still positive to
Oh,
see.
Benzema is
They
injured?
are a team that can and
Yes.
have and will
Knee injury.
perform on
For how long is he
form.
out?
They know how to move around the terrain
मतलब
and
उसका
hold onto the high ground.
बोल
Like
नहीं
when we
सकते
were
वो आ भी
looking
सकता है
at the
जल्दी
screens yesterday, Demo
मतलब
as
वो
a
बोलते हैं ना
player
राउंड ऑफ जो
moving
60
around
वाला
so
ग्रुप है
smoothly
Hmm.
on
तब
it
तक तो
wasn't
शायद वो नहीं है
Miramar, it was Rango, but
ज़्यादा
he's moving
कंफर्म
around so smoothly that does give me a lot of
ठीक ठीक
confidence
ठीक
for
ठीक
आई
IHC
मिल जाएंगे
coming into this
किसी को
game too.
भाई ठीक
Oh, game two coming up here. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at y'all's teams to watch here for this match?
इंडिया
So,
कब खेलेगी रोहित भाई भाई इंडिया को चांस मिले भाई
I'm gonna go ahead and look
बस
down right
चांस
here.
मिले
Go, let's see if you're
अंबानी ने
interested.
लिवरपूल
Go on
खरीद
the
लिया
list.
ना तो इंडिया
And
पक्का
I see
खेलेगी.
you got Geek Fam over there.
You know
and
that
Pierre
Ambani is
also
bidding
with
for
Geek
Liverpool,
Fam, look,
right?
it's a Mika show, and they yeah,
Liverpool
they
sale
want
पे आ
to
गया ना, so
perform
Ambani had a
well
bid
in
on
game
it.
one, and I know they can, as a full squad, put it together for game two. So I have a lot
बोलो.
of faith in what they're going to be able to
फिर तो
bring
पक्का
momentum
खेलेंगे.
wise into the second game.
नहीं बट ये लोग पबजी की बात
You
कर
know what? With me,
अरे मुझे
it
लगा
is what-
फुटबॉल की बात हो रही
You
है.
guys were a little bit
नहीं,
too passive. I
फुटबॉल
saw you holding a very
फुटबॉल
strong
जरूरी है
ground,
भाई.
and you guys stay there
हाँ,
for way
फुटबॉल
too
तो
long.
जरूरी
It's
है
something that Imperium and myself were talking about when we were watching the game.
Whereas
I
by
would love to see a
1.4
team-
billion
I would love to
people,
see some kind of
and we don't
space
have a
try to
football
secure
team.
Some spot after that compound. I mean, at one point, I think it was after Circle too. 100% of the
But
teams
बहुत
were
अच्छे
on the
talents हैं
west
इंडिया
side of the circle. That would have
I
been
think the
perfect.
last year,
One person
I
to
think
stand. See what might
Sunil
be
Chhetri had the
pricing.
second
See if you can have
highest
other options so you don't end up
number of
rotating
goals
to
for the
play
national
over
team
हाँ
after
It ends up
Ronaldo, right?
backfiring.
But
And another one is going to be Reject.
it is what it
Reject,
is.
champions.
It is what
of
it
the
is.
Japan League. That was not
हाँ,
the best
हमको तो
performance
बहुत
there.
सारे-
They ended up being eliminated first in
हाँ,
several
वो नहीं है।
eliminations. I'm hoping they can turn it around
True.
here in the upcoming
फुटबॉल तो
year.
भाई इंडिया
Yeah,
Yeah, me
it's
too. I mean, these first, yeah, go ahead.
no, just going to say
Yeah.
it's tough for Reject because like
मेहनत करते हो उतना क्या बोलते हो तुम
Huh?
first team to lose a
बोला
player
इंडिया
that
की
can affect
कैपेसिटी है कि हर जगह जा
just the
जाके
Bro, आराम
मतलब
से
छाप
यार,
छोड़-
मतलब
छाप
डाउट ही
छोड़
नहीं
के
है.
आए।
डाउट ही
इतनी
नहीं है.
मेहनत जो करते हो
डाउट ही नहीं है उसमें. लेकिन माइंडसेट का प्रॉब्लम है यार. अभी देख क्रिकेट के लिए कितना एक्सपोजर है इंडिया का, तो हर एक गली से ना मतलब कोई ना कोई तो मतलब इंडिया की इंडियन क्रिकेट टीम में देख ले कंपटीशन कितना है. इट्स नॉट इवन इजी लाइक यू नो रणजी खेलना क्या छोड़ो, क्लब क्रिकेट खेलना मुश्किल हो गया इतना कंपटीशन है. अब उसमें कितने टैलेंट बाहर आएंगे, कितने दब जाते हैं, कितनों की यू नो वो पीक निकल जाती है. लाइक यू नो हर एक का वो होता है ना एक पीक आ जाती है उसके करियर की, वो ऐसी रणजी वगैरह में ही निकल जाती है. देन आई थिंक कंपैरेटिवली बहुत सारे स्पोर्ट है जिसमें भी इंडिया हैज टू एक्सेल एंड हैज अ ह्यूज पोटेंशियल टू एक्सेल. उसमें से फुटबॉल हो गया, मिक्स मार्शल आर्ट्स हो गया. स्लोली स्लोली बढ़ जाएगा यार, थोड़ा अवेयरनेस की प्रॉब्लम है.
Pmgc stage, we should not be seeing that many players go out on rotations.
ये जा सकते हैं यार बहुत आगे.
Yeah, it's questionable.
100%,
That's for
bro.
sure. I mean, the fact is, we normally would say like in a PMC or and a PMPL, like you said, all right, it's first map, you know, getting the jitters out of the way, getting the nerves out of the way, but we're still seeing that here on the PMGC stage. But all right, even if we take that into account, you've had that first map, you've had that map to kind of shake it
I
off,
think-
get the boots running, get the blood pumping jumping, and now you need to bring
देख
the
अगर
defense
क्लब
that
एक्सेस
we
मिलेगा
know
ना
you're capable
लिवरपूल
of
वगैरह हो
in the
गया अगर
second
ये
half, and
लिवरपूल
it's
की
on
डील
Miramar.
थ्रू
So I feel
जाती
like
है
if there was ever an opportunity to just to
आई
tell
मीन
the
अगर वो
team,
क्लब एक्सेस
slow it
इंटरनेशनल
down, this
एक्सपोजर
is
का एक्सेस मिल
PMGC,
गया ना
we need
आपको
to bring
मतलब
our
इसमें
performance.
देन
It's going to be
इट इज
this.
समथिंग एल्स
Miramar trickier for
so
rotations though.
that will
Like,
make it
even
way
more
easier
difficult
than
than Erangel.
ever
Erangel, the easiest
ever
map to rotate on.
क्योंकि
And
अगर आप
it's
देखोगे अभी
close. That first circle
मेरे दो कजिन है राइट
wasn't
सो
a
वन ऑफ
difficult
देम
circle.
he is
Teams
training in the
know
UAE
what's,
particular you can say
rotation
football training
patterns
institute
in
and
what
one more guy he is
areas,
doing in
which
Spain
rotations paths
so in
are more
Spain
safer
like
than others.
bro I know
So
the guy is
I
too
think,
good but he never
we
gets a
might
chance
we might see a
right
big,
so
you know,
club mein
gap
he is the
already
best
start to
performer
form
जब main
on
squad
playing
finalize
number
करने
one
की
in the
बात आती है he
sense
barely
of
gets the chance he doesn't get to
teams that
play
are
at
coming in
certain
here
platforms
with preparation,
I mean,
like mentally.
unless
Teams
we
that
don't
aren't
have that
nervous, team that
atmosphere
sticks to their
within,
plan
I mean,
and
like,
knows what
our
they're
own
doing.
control, then
There's
yeah.
going to be a big
तब तक कुछ नहीं
contrast by
होगा.
the end of the day against teams that are feeling things out, teams that are a little bit nervous, teams that don't have the confidence. That's what I'm imagining. There's going to be a big gap between the top and the bottom as we head into the second match. Miramar coming right out here, and it's looking like this play path not very nice for many of the teams. Might see some hot drops due to this playing path now.
Oh yes, I mean that entire northern portion of Miramar basically a little bit out of the bounds for now for the teams potentially making those early
इस वाले
drops,
group
trying
में?
to get the vehicles in and trying to get themselves well
Oh
situated.
crap,
in the
रुकना एक
positions,
सेकंड
you know,
drop
they
location
might be a
देखने
little
दे.
bit more comfortable with.
मैंने
I mean,
NSR के
we can
scrims
think of
देखे
a
थे. I've
handful
been
of teams
watching
that,
this team
do
very
love that
closely.
northern side.
I think
there towards the San
अरे मुझे भी पहले लगा था बाद में चला
Martin, there towards San Martin. And now
मुझे भी मैंने कहा नसर कहाँ से पहुंच गया यार PMGC में वो तो PMNC तक नहीं खेली फिर पता चला NSR को या भाई स्क्रिम्स में तो उनका गेम प्ले देख NSR का अरे हाँ
और ओवेस बेबी क्या हालचाल अबे हेलो
Oh, my apologies, bro. Sorry.
Another chance here, taking a 4v4 now. Off
Yeah,
the
I'm just
hot
here to
drop
say hello.
against
Chalo, bye-bye, you guys
Besiktas.
carry on.
They lost a 1v4 that last game. We caught it in the highlights at the end. Is that going to show
Where's
the
my
confidence just
ये
a little
कौन
bit
था
here?
actually they won
अच्छा
the 1v4.
बोला-
Oh, sorry, they
उसी
won the
टाइम खांसी
1v4.
निकल अरे भाई सर्कल देख
Train to kill that
सर्कल
just
देख
pulled out a
सर्कल देख
1v4
भाई
from
ये
Miramar
फिर से
West.
गीक
Now, I
आएगी
mean, confidence
टॉप
has to be
3
running
पे
high, and that is going to be selling a little bit of danger here for IHC already with some initial damage, and you can see the rest of Besiktas, they are swarming in. They're trying to close up the rotational parts that
IHC और
IHC actually have available. And
BJK
Gabe
का
is,
ड्रॉप क्लैश as usual
somehow Neo as well.
अभी ये देख ये देख ये देख ये देख ये देख
That rock
गया
is
जीके
legit,
वाला
but tell you what, the 3 other players that are picking up weapons right
हाँ
and
थोड़ा
every
2x
cross
कर ले play speed
compound.
Oh.
This is
नहीं मरेगा
Gaith is as good as done here.
Oh,
Mira,
backup
मार
is
में
coming
तो
on
easily
through.
बच सकते
The
हो
most
गाड़ी
he can do is like waste a little bit of time. But
आप
that's
नहीं
what
बचेगा
the
ब्रो
अब नहीं गया
here as well. Like I said, all due to that
उसको
playing
वो वाला प्लेयर अरे यहाँ से फैल्कन वाला गया गया एक दो
we're already seeing.
तुझे पता है इस ग्रुप में सबसे ज्यादा मजेदार चीज क्या है
Oh,
इसमें
man,
ड्रॉप क्लैशेस
what a
बहुत है
start
दो
for the Falcon team. Down to 2 on
मेरे को
Miramar
फैल्कन की
this
टीम बड़ी
early
पसंद है
on.
यार
And I think Game Lord looking like no. Okay, I thought they might have seen an isolated player. and
इनका
shot for
यूसुफ
early
बहुत अच्छा
points.
खेलता है
Back to the hot drop in the northeast. It does look like it has even out just a
सऊदी
little
को
bit.
सपोर्ट भी बहुत
Would
कर
say
रही है
Besiktas have
PMWI में तो
somewhat
इनने पूरा
out that
स्टेडियम हिला के रख
plays
दिया
as
था यार
well
वेन्यू पे
himself
पूरा कब्जा कर लिया था
surrounded.
इनने
And here's that replay. Falcons losing one
PMWI
there.
में तो
And
इनने पूरा
then
स्टेडियम हिला के रख दिया था यार वेन्यू पे पूरा कब्जा कर लिया था इनने
Yeah, I mean, looking at the eliminations, it looks like it was pretty spread out. I mean, we had, Game Lords taking one, we had Genesis Dogma also taking another. So it looks like for the time being, eliminations are just being spread out amongst at least 3 of the teams for the time being. And just a little bit of scouting out here from the rest of the teams, trying to give themselves space in the vicinity. But absolutely, this is all to do with that flight path. That zone is at least
I want to see what IHC
going to
does.
be matching that flight path, giving the team some availability.
IHC.
Never alone.
साउथ एशिया में बहुत अच्छा खेलती है दे आर वेरी एग्रेसिव
That is going to be taken to.
हाँ नहीं नो नो क्रिप्टो तो बाहर की कब से IHC यार मंगोलियन टीम
This
है
is revenge straight off the bat.
Never
I
really
eight बोल रही
well.
हूँ
He's
कि I
alone
see
for
बोल.
now, but that might be enough as he
अबे
gets
1v2 कर दिया फैल्कन नेवर अलोन ने.
gets the one
बदला.
confirmation. Almost gets the
1v3.
second one, but Rob's there to
नहीं.
save Victor.
मर गया मर
Get
गया.
that revive. And now Falcon is really
अरे भाई.
looking very, very rough.
फैल्कन का बचा
Down
एक.
to one already. At least they picked up the one elimination. Never alone.
This
Almost
is-
What
picked
do you
up
expect?
three.
कब आएगा game?
But maybe
I
another
think
time.
March.
So back to Besiktas here. Quite a big stalemate. We have
Yeah,
not
March.
seen any movement from anybody at all. I
Yeah,
see has been
Q1
holding
I
the
think
exact
should
same
come.
positions as we last
I
saw.
told you last
Top
time,
lanes
call पे
are
बताया था
close
क्या हो
around
रहा
it.
था.
Besiktas
I was
playing
expecting it to
very
come back
slow,
then, but
trying
yeah.
to figure out where everyone is. I do understand
What
why
the
they're
hell?
playing so slow though, because IHC being so spread out with so many different compounds, you got to be careful crossing into the sightlines. And there's a lot of sightlines to be
Fight for
cleared.
the.
At the very least, I would say IHC
Mm.
has at least that backup. I mean, they're running that 2-2 split, so should any side of their team be taking that engagement, they have backup, right? It's not like the rest of the Besiktas team who are also in separate buildings on their
किसकी?
own. So
चुमा
if they
सेरा?
take an engagement, there's no opportunity, there's no potential for backup. So it will be interesting, the two different approaches from these two separate teams as
तुम्हारा
they're
drop चुमा सेरा है क्या?
holding their forts and seeing how they're going to transition into that rotation, how they're going to transition themselves into that zone. But still plenty of rotations, as we mentioned. That zone, at least matching the flight path into that southeastern portion, means a lot of the teams that took those hard drops, that took those encounters, they're going to be rewarded.
तेरे लिए तो वर्ल्ड कप PMGC है.
We do see only maybe 4 or 5 teams.
Valo में
able to
practice कर
rotate
रहा है.
here. Many other teams' rotations heavily slowed down due to, well, we have the hot drop in the north, multiple teams getting caught on one another early on. At least it gives them some elimination points for the favorable team. But the rotations are going to be slowed down elsewhere. And this
Stream
southeastern
करना
zone,
शुरू कर दे भाई.
pretty easy to rotate into as long as, roads go. A lot of different roads, different avenues in for quick
I
rotations.
think literally most of the
but
people don't even
the
know
terrain
खेल कौन कौन
is a
रहा है.
little bit more difficult. Center of the zone, all you have is that one
Most of the audience को
small
teams
stretch
भी
of
नहीं पता
flat
है.
territory. So we won't see too many teams being able to take up positions near center, just because there's not that much areas to play in.
और वो स्टार्टिंग वाले ग्रुप
IHC
में भी
here
जब मैं एक दो गेम
and
देखा था तो
Besiktas
ऑलमोस्ट सारी टीम को जानता
still
हूँ.
in
ये
a
ग्रुप
very,
पे इतना समझ
very
रहा नहीं.
slow, prolonged engagement.
नहीं
but
मैंने
I'd like
पहले
to
देखा
see
था
at
4am
least
ने
one of
मतलब
these teams
I don't know
look up a
how
little bit and get more
AG didn't
aggressive,
win
because
that PL.
they're
ये एक ही slot था ना end में.
wasting time
हाँ.
in a sense. They
तो
still need to loot, they still need
उसमें
to
I was
rotate,
expecting
and they need
AG
get
to
a
do
move
really
on
good
it.
and win
I
it
think
और
we do
end
see
में
IHC
देखने लायक
deciding to
finals
make
थे
the
यार
first
उसके.
move after they are starting to
So
group up together,
second was
and
I
they
wasn't
have
expecting
a
4am.
very,
4am का
very
same जो
good
green group का
idea
system था
if
ना,
there is a player
जैसे
who
end
wants
में
to
Nova
all
आई
look
मतलब
that
number
way
8 से
to
directly number
isolate
3
and
पे आई.
enjoy.
सेम तरीके से नंबर 7 से
Redfield's
लेकर
over
डायरेक्टली
here
ऊपर
taking a
नंबर
look
1 पे
down
आई.
towards Nongshim.
एक
Redfield's
एक चिकन
sorry,
और
Rejects
3
is
मैच
making
में
sure
बैक
he's
टू
in
बैक
position.
सर्कल इन पे बना.
But now the question
कैम
is,
करके बैठ गए
listen, right,
टॉप 3
there's
में
been
पहुंच गए and they
a
became
few
the finalists.
opportunities,
But
but in the meantime,
AG
also
का
from
gameplay is
IHC
different.
finally making
अगर
that
तू
move.
उस
I
वाली
think it's
टीम का
with
देगा bro,
Besiktas, and
those
what
guys are
a
like
player to take off the plate
freaking
other than
monsters, man.
enjoy an
They are like
absolute threat that's
monsters.
looming in this vicinity.
क्या
So if they
खेलते
can
हैं
at
वो लोग.
least give themselves the space, at least
क्योंकि
this one
सारी टीम
elimination,
इस लेवल
they
पे
give
खेल
themselves
रही
an
है यार.
opportunity potentially on
सेम
to
मेटा है ना पहल वाला मेटा ही है.
Molly will delay that push just for a
कॉन्स्टेंटली
tad.
उनको ना वो अपॉर्चुनिटी मिल रही
Rejects,
है खेलने की.
meanwhile,
आप समझ
this
रहे हो?
time getting
इतने बड़े
a
बड़े
much better
टूर्नामेंट
rotation and will be rewarded with 1 point. As Enjoy will go
Yeah.
down, they isolate one, and I
मतलब तो
feel
कभी भी
like
कम्बैक इसलिए कर
Besiktas,
देगा
they're
ये
just
उनका
not really
काम
helping
भी
that one
कम
player
करने
out.
बहुत
We saw how long the players of IHC took to isolate him. They were jumping around the outside of his compound for a while.
प्योर तो चला
With
गया
no
भाई.
supporting sightlines whatsoever.
अरे बट इसमें मेटा
from
चेंज
any
हो
of the
गया जोन
Besiktas
का, आपको
players.
पता
That's
चला?
Yeah, I
that's a
saw
huge
that.
question
इसमें भी
mark
अब
for
सेम
them.
पहल का ही है ना.
Oh.
पहले का और जो PUBG PC का जो बेटा है,
Okay,
हाँ.
फिर
yeah, that is
थर्ड
a
जोन
zone.
और जो
Well,
सेकंड
only
जोन है ना
half-
वही
half
एकदम
of the
छोटा बन
zone,
गया है.
basically.
पहले
These
थर्ड जोन
teams
छोटा बनता जो अभी जो
have
जोन बना ना
available to them.
हाँ.
And
ये
yeah, I
पहले
mean,
थर्ड
talking
जोन
about an
बनता
Eastern
था.
rotation, all these teams have been doing it
Oh.
now.
अभी ये
Is
सेकंड
just
जोन में ही
waiting
बन गया.
to catch up
Nice.
with the zone.
There's
Nice.
I know Imperium. If Imperium can hear me,
DXR
is
Tem.
very
Okay,
happy.
by 4 a.m. का दूसरा chicken.
Imperium's got a sick mind for that, tiny island in ending on Miramar. I
तो ये
remember
तो
last
पूरा
time
आधा
we
समंदर
casted
में
it,
बन
we
गया.
had a circle, like nothing like
हाँ
this, but
तो
even then,
समंदर
Imperium
छोड़ेगा ना
was
अभी
like,
तो उनका
Zute, it's gonna
वो
happen.
है ना
It's gonna happen.
अगर
Well,
एक बार
if
पीछे पे
it's ever gonna happen,
जाएगा
it
इसके
could
टाइम नहीं होता
happen
है
in
कि
this
पानी
zone.
छोड़ता है जो
50% of the zone and water. That small
पानी से
landmass of
खिंच
those two
जाएगा पहले
islands on
पानी
the
पे
eastern
जाएगा फिर
side,
पानी को छोड़ देगा
well, it's almost like 30%
Imagine
of the
island पे.
landmass that is
What?
left in zone. So there's a chance it could go down there.
हुआ
We'll
एक
see
दिन
if
पता
any
था यार
teams are going to be ready for that. I'm
हाँ
hoping,
हुआ है
for the
आइलैंड पे
sake
एक
of,
बार हुआ है
the
पानी में भी
हाँ
एक बार
team
सर्कल
enjoying
गया है यार
game, the
हमारी
team
हाँ
टीम के
पानी
साथ
don't
लिपो
shift out
लिपोगा की
to the
तरफ जाता है
islands.
ना पानी
Give them
या
something to work with here.
हमारे साथ एक बार हुआ
I
है
don't know. The fact is that Geek
मेरे
Fam
को लग रहा
didn't get that
4
zone
में ना वो
pressing in the
लॉन्ग
first
उसका
wrangle,
कंफर्म
and they
लेगी लोड वाला
literally went to the
और
tippy
जोन
top
पूरा
of
उधर ही
the rankings.
खींचेगा
They literally went the full mile
बहुत
to
ज्यादा
try and
चल
get some favor there from the circle zone guards, but it didn't happen. So maybe they're feeling a little bit malevolent. Maybe they're going to be bringing in some absolute chaos and making Imperium's day. But over here towards Geek Fam, as we mentioned them already, taking a couple of shots over towards IHC, who again they've had such a
भोपाल क्या
tough time.
करने
You
जाएगा
mentioned that they took
कोई
that time
मकसद
with
ही होना
Besiktas.
चाहिए ना
I
कोई
mean,
जाने
Godless
का
for the longest time didn't even have meds, and now
आकाश मिल
because of
जाएगा
that
आपको
delay, they're
भोपाल
catching themselves on the far end of zone, on the outskirts, right behind a team like Geek Fam. Not where you want to be.
I feel like they should have just kept rotating. They allowed Geek Fam to get in front of them. And
टीम
now,
डीकेजी
with Geek Fam
कभी
getting
ओएस
into the
भाई की
circle
टीम को
before,
भूल
they
नहीं
might look to
सकते
trap
वो डीकेजी
the
कौन सी थी
IHC players. This might be a
डीके
rematch
को
once
कहते
again
हैं ना खेलने
between Geek
हाँ
Fam and
पहल
IHC.
क्या पहल
And last
बोलता
time,
हूँ
Geek Fam definitely got
क्या
the
यार
better
नाम भी
out
भूल
of
गए
IHC.
कब
And in
मैं तो
similar
चाइना
fashion,
खेल
it
रहे
was
हैं
Geek
जो
Fam
पहले
more in the circle compared to IHC. So
तो
IHC
फर्स्ट चल
were
रहे थे
forced to press in
हाँ
to
और
the likes of Geek Fam. And
ये
once
चल रही थी
again,
थर्ड
we
एक्चुअल
see a similar story
ओके
तो
playing
डीके जी
out.
हमारे ड्रॉप पे चुम्मा आती
Besiktas taking a
मतलब उन
different
लोगों ने हमको बहुत
pathing.
परेशान किया
Will
हमारे
avoid the
पॉइंट
Geek
का
Fam and
बहुत
IHC team. And yeah,
मतलब हमारा
IHC,
ड्रॉप
one player going down.
बहुत
Alex might
परेशान किया
also
इसके
go
में
down
तो
here.
हमने ड्रॉप
IHC,
छोड़
a
दिया था
lot of high
ये आखिरी गेम
expectations
में
for this team,
हम
especially since
चले गए
their
चुम्मा
Mongolian
हम्म
brethren,
और उनको
kind
मार
of
दिया और
godlike
उससे
stalwarts,
वो हार गए
finished in first
फर्स्ट आ
place
सकते थे
on the
हम्म
second
वो
week of the
उनसे
group of
नोवा
death. So
तो उनकी
IHC,
टीम
man,
नोवा से 20 या 30
they
पॉइंट
got a lot of pressure
हम्म
on them.
और
And the
वो
next circle
0
does shift. It
पॉइंट
does
पे
keep
मरे और
that
नोवा
one
वही
island
चिकन
in
निकाली
zone. So might still happen as for
क्या बोला था
find
गाइस
themselves
क्या
in the
बोला था
very center
4M
of the
लॉन्ग
circle.
हाउस लेगी
Man,
दो
a lot of
4M पे
teams
जाएगा
with a lot of players still
अब
alive, but this zone is looking awfully
तूने
small.
तूने
और
परसों
लॉन्ग
ग्रीन ग्रुप देखा
But at
हर
the very
एक
least,
सर्कल
it's giving
बन रहा
some
था किस पे
opportunity here towards IHC. So they're a little bit
नोवा
closer
नोवा
to
पे
the
पे
zone, but they
नोवा
still
पे
have to try and grab it. And Geek
यार
Fam have not
टेंशन भी
let up
अपना
on the pressure just
सर्कल
yet.
भी
That
अपना
rotation
मेटा
that
भी
IHC
अपना
is going to make now is going to hit them straight into the pathing here of Besiktas
लेकिन एआई
potentially if they
पावर्ड
take
होता
it
है ना
further. So it is
आइडिया
a
नहीं मेरे को
long
ये
fight
कैसे
for
होता है क्या
IHC if they want to get
I
themselves
think
back
AI
into
powered. I
contention
mean
with
like
the
I
zone.
was
And it looks like
talking to
Geek
one of
Fam
my
might
friends. He
even be
works
going
for
for just a
Tencent.
little bit
बोल
of
रहा
a
था
heist.
AI
They're
powered
keeping
होता है.
a
You
line of
cannot do
sight onto
anything with it.
IHC, trying to apply
हाँ
that
वो
pressure.
शायद अपने हिसाब से
Maybe
ही
they might
होता
be
है
rewarded here with a knock or an elimination even.
मतलब
But
रैंडम
for the
होते हैं
very
उनके
least, they are
Hmm.
locking down this northern portion of the zone to their own.
Geek Fam doing a very nice job pressuring out
पीसी
the
हाँ
entirety
पीसी था वो
of a four-man team, pretty much sending IHC into Besiktas. And now Geek Fam don't have to worry about anyone on their backside. And I would say they have a nicer, avenue of approach on their eastern, northeastern side to work into the rest of the zone. Whereas IHC is kind of stuck with those, mountaintops, not very easily traversable. Meanwhile, on the rest of the circle, you see a lot of teams slowly working their way in. A lot of dips and
भाई
ridges.
बस अभी
Multiple teams to make
तुझे
it in
पता है
here
ये भी
without going into
जब आप
full
फॉर
out
एग्जांपल
engagement.
नंबर
We might
1
see
पे
teams
होते हो ना
lose a
तो आप पे
player
बाकी टीमें ज्यादा ध्यान देती हैं
but
स्पेशली जब आप
looks
ग्रुप
like
ग्रीन में नंबर
there's
1
a
निकले हो
chance
तो
we might be keeping
यस
upwards of
तो
50 players alive coming
अभी यार
into the
थोड़ा
fourth
हमारा
circle, which
मैं
isn't
एक
unheard of,
टेंसेंट
but
वाले
with
से
a zone
बात कर
being
रहा था
this
वो खुद
small,
मतलब उसकी
it is
चाइनीज है वो
rather,
बंदा
gonna be
तो खुद
chaotic.
थोड़ा ना irritated लग रहा था. दोस्त ही है but irritated लग रहा था बोलता है. So how did you guys do that? It was like what? What is your strategy? I was like, why do I need to tell you my strategy? Even I don't know the strategy. Our managers, they know the strategy. The coach knows the strategy.
Genesis now
So,
applying
no,
that pressure
but
over to Vivek. He
impossible,
is going to find at least one towards Adrian. That nade's going to be sent on
तारीफ
outside.
कर
But
रहा है,
the
जल रहा है,
confirmation
समझ ही
is
नहीं आ रहा.
far off. However, here for Genesis now, if they move on
But
forward,
लेकिन अभी
they're
बहुत ध्यान से
unfortunately going to
देखेगी
be
सारी
exposing
चीज, वो भी
themselves
गड़बड़
into
हो
Rejects
जाती है
as
ना
well.
ज्यादा फिर.
Rejects, they do have an opportunity to move on up and maybe get a line of sight here to Genesis Dogma. So this is going to be a very interesting manner in which they have to actually approach and manage the situation.
लेकिन
And
नोवा का
Rejects
यार
team
वो
could just
लास्ट डे
bide
वाज
their time,
क्रेजी.
maybe go for a third party once a fight is fully engaged.
Crazy.
But with the
जो
next
बोल रहा
circle
हूँ वही हो रहा है
shifting,
तो फिर मैं देख रहे हो
I
आप.
think they're just planning
भाई
to
तू IGL है
prioritize
भाई.
zone shift. And here we go, Eastern shift. Nope. We are going to end on the main island. Most likely, Rejects do
देखो
find
थोड़े
themselves
होल्ड
in a
भी
good
क्या
position
करें,
to just keep
ना
holding.
उस
They don't
तरफ
even
के
have a
ऊपर
third
लोड
party because the
कर.
fight will have to come to them.
वो कंपाउंड
Eventually,
छोड़ दिए उन लोग.
Evil Key now have to
कंपाउंड
push
में नीचे
into
एक ही
Genesis
बंदा है, वो भी
Dogma
रोड के
again.
इस तरफ.
We see Emchain Red on the south side pushing up
गेम्स
into
ऑन
the
बढ़ाओ
likes
थोड़ी,
of
इससे
10
सुनाई नहीं आ रहा है.
10
गेम्स ऑन
Entertainment.
ये क्या करोगे, हमारी
A
सुरीली
little
आवाज
bit
सुनो.
trapped in on those ridges, those nades raining
क्या
on
करिए जो मैं
in.
आपको बोला ना उस तरफ के ऊपर जो
This
बनता है
area of
वो.
the map so tricky to navigate and
ये
fight
तो
because
अपनी
not a
माइंड
lot of
पे
teams,
कुछ और
have too
सेट
much experience down here. This
इस
zone
तरफ.
is a very, unfamiliar zone
क्या
for
क्या
these teams. Maybe they've only played a handful
ऑप्टिमाइजेशन बढ़ाओ
of
थोड़ी.
matches down here. So a lot of sight lines and
अबे
potential
सेनेटर वो जो हमारा
entryways,
कोच है.
not all familiar with the
हाँ,
map.
कोच फ्रांस में रहा
I
है.
mean, if you
6-7
want to talk
साल
about the
पढ़ाई
side, I
वहीं
mean,
पे
the
की
team
है.
that strikes me as someone who's the most comfortable with this coastline would be the likes of Full Agreement because
उधर
this tends to be one of
उधर
their
से
legal side of
क्या?
Angola. Tends to be
हाँ, नहीं वो है मंगोलिया से. पढ़ा
They
उसने
drop
अपनी
sides there over
मास्टर्स
towards,
की है
Puerto Paredes.
यहाँ
So
से,
it's
क्या
normally
कहते हैं
Furious
उसको,
Gaming
फ्रांस से.
and Genesis Dogma kids that would find themselves here, at least from time to time in the scrims. We've seen them
अच्छा,
drop towards that
coach,
location.
okay.
So potentially those might be the teams taking that advantage
भाई
into
एचपी राहुल
this
को
next
छोड़
zone because it is, as you've mentioned, such an odd zone to find these teams in, and now they need to navigate this terrain and they have to.
RKS मुझे तो
Otherwise,
ये
they
ग्रुप
might
पुश
be
किल और
losing
डाई वाला
that
काम लग रहा
opportunity
है.
to take a lead. But Geek Fam, I mean, just talk about consistency once again, finding IHC.
Yeah, I was questioning on the very
I
first
think
game
Alex will
which
get
team is
picked
going to
up.
be that edge team that starts dominating and picks up all the
यार
elimination
IHC
points like
should
we saw with HVP
wait.
last week. And it
वैसे
looks
श्योर
like
तू
Geek
तुझे
Fam
लगता हाँ
is
गई
gonna
है
be that
Alex
team
गया.
that plays from the edge and just
You think that 4 AM will pull this
up to
chicken?
2 eliminations.
Yeah,
Geek Fam still with 4 alive and with a decent entryway into the rest of the zone. Have high hopes for
अरे उनके पास जो एडवांटेज है ना,
them this
हाँ.
match to see
बहुत
them
भारी है.
into the
मतलब
late
उनका
game
वो जोन
once
कंट्रोल
again.
है.
Furious
उनके
game
पास जोन
on the
कंट्रोल
southern
नीचे
side. Yeah,
हिस्सा
I was
है ना,
talking about the sight
हाँ.
lines, right?
बस उनको
Look
पुल
at
ऑफ
this
करना.
sight line down there through the crack of the window. That means everyone on that ridge line needs to be careful when they get engaged in a fight. And on the north side, Geek Fam coming in here on the edge onto the back of Besiktas. Besiktas already down to 2 as they lost one player
इंडिया में
extremely
दूसरी
early.
खेलती है.
Yuhai looking
भाई
to
भाई भाई
get
नॉक से
picked up
बचो.
here.
भाई ये
That's a
करो भाई.
really good
दोनों
Molotov
chicken.
snipes.
But इन लोग की
Getting
मेंटालिटी
it
ऐसे
in
ना
that
खुल के
shack. That's
खेलते
another
हैं.
player knocked.
True.
Besiktas did get the
No,
revive
now,
back
देखो
up to
अभी
2. Now back
कौन सा
down to
zone है?
1.
Four
It is
zone है.
all riding on the shoulders of
Four
Beast
zone है, ठीक
here.
है. और
Pull out a
मेरे को थोड़ा
potential
पीछे के पीछे आ
1v4.
जाता
Not looking very likely though.
है.
Not at all.
NSR
I mean,
और
even if
Falcon
he's
सबसे
managed to
पहले
take on the
eliminate.
three
What
here,
the
as
hell?
soon as they go outside, they will be spotted out by that flanking position here
Just
of down
trending
blue.
में
So
अभी. इतना
Geek
पहले वो
Fam
देखो.
have this locked down.
Yeah.
He's just going to be taking the jump off the cliff quite
अब इतने छोटे
literally.
जोन में अगर
They will
तुम्हारे
not
पास
escape.
इतना
Sniper will
सारा
find that final hit. And
distance है
Milos with the
जोन का,
fantastic line of sight
हाँ.
that he had somehow, some way,
तो तुम्हारा
still gets knocked
chicken लेना.
down. So Furious Gaming, they now need to recover their numbers.
गई.
They need to
Budget
देखो
task भी
जोन
गई.
कंट्रोल देखो. जोन
That
कंट्रोल
revive is coming through. A lot of teams
भाई
starting
अगर
to
इस
get cut
बंदे ने
down.
यहाँ से अबे इससे क्या कर दिया ये?
Need to shift once again. That southwestern side, just so many
पूरे
ridges
पे डायरेक्ट
and pockets for teams to just stay alive in. The circle doesn't change too much. It
अब
does
4 AM
force
एक एक
everyone on
करके
the
किल
board
उठाई.
to move in. You see
इस
the
ग्रुप में
rejects
किसी
team
टीम
right
ने
there
30 किल का
in a
चिकन भी
very
मार दिया ना,
close
मतलब
to
I
central
wouldn't
position
be
now. And
ये
Chingchen
तो हद दिया
forced to fall
पूरा
back. I don't know if
बजकतास
the
ने ना.
Rejects know he's here. 4
यही
AM.
4M का जो बंदा था
Some of the
क्या
split. Yeah,
उसका नाम?
Chingchen is going to try and make it out in
4
time.
AM का
But
बंदा.
a little bit
हाँ.
too
हाँ
slow.
4M
4
का जो बंदा था
AM.
जो बंदा.
Coming in very
2-1-1
strong.
split.
taking over the center of the circle on the high ground, but that does kind of put them in potential sightlines to be surrounded by other teams. However, this position does have a lot of ridges to work with, so if they can weather the storm all the way through the circle, probably end up fighting one another, and Rejects could just sit comfortably.
Rejects managing to pick up eliminations as well, so already a much healthier showing than what we saw on Erangel. Hopefully those nerves are out of the window, and that will
गया
be the
कौन
opening
player
for
इनका?
VOP as well, going up against Game Lords, who have been going from fight to fight. Now another engagement, but they turn it around with that nade onto Grelin, so now there's an opportunity for them to turn this around.
Great utility out of Game Lord. Now it's a 2v1 situation. They don't have the zone. They should look for the last player if they have a good idea that it is only a solo player. See Victor running back and forth, looking to get the confirmation. Cielo here. He's got the M4, level 1 vest only. Another nade about to rain in. Should have spotted. Yep. I think he did have a good idea of where Cielo is with that vehicle, pretty much giving a dead giveaway. But it looks like the duo is going to try and prioritize the rotation instead. No, Victor's still going to look for the player, but they're scared to commit hard over the ridgeline in case more other teams take shots back. Well, the shots being returned, now they know for sure where Cielo is. They should isolate this 2v1. They get the side angle. Narvello does get the finish right there. And that is Vivo Key eliminated out in 13th place.
अच्छा तो मेसी सपोर्टर है
making sure that they have a different line of sight that they can take that crossfire and
सॉरी ब्रो मुझे लगता है मुझे ये कॉल छोड़नी पड़ेगी फिर आई एम रोनाल्डो सपोर्टर
I don't think they're going to have a trouble getting into zone, but of course our focus is here towards the southern portion of that zone. Absolutely stacked with Furious Gaming, with GK.
Bro, Messi is natural. Ronaldo is a mindset.
Xavier, of course, in the mix alongside Genesis Dogma Gids. So plenty of opportunities for teams to get involved with one another. And
इस पे बड़े घर खानदान टूटे हुए यारी दोस्ती है तो दूर की बात है.
So this is going to be an interesting opportunity to see how they're going to manage this.
Yeah, every team just wants to put one step forward, get 1 foot more close to the center of zone. Genesis, Xavier, that would
बहुत ज़्यादा.
Furious Gaming on the southern side on the low ground, sitting very comfortably, just taking this high.
I know, bro. I know the feeling. Especially यहाँ पे, like in Middle East, the football craze is crazy.
Just, man, this is an absolute slow grind of a match. Teams just getting slowly crunched into each other with constant fighting. Rejects now feeling the crunch, the pressure of FaZe. Like I said earlier, Rejects do put themselves in a nice center
मुझे
position
लगता है
to
ना
get the
4A
zone.
मतलब तू देखना ग्रुप और ग्रुप पे डिफरेंस
In a
देख.
little pocket area to get slowly pressed in on. And you
Like
can see
seriously.
there, as they try and get the revive, how close they have to be clumped onto one another. Geek Fam, however, on that northern side,
बहुत
working
ज़्यादा
in
easy group.
as a 4-man team. We saw
एक
what
दो
they could do
टीमें
with
टक्कर
2.
देने वाली but
Now that they got 4, oh man, it's looking quite scary for everyone else.
I'm saying
इन्होंने
maybe
lucky
the
draw
winning
निकाले थे
position
ना.
for Geek Fam is just the fact that they never get the zone, because it seems to be the opportunity that they thrive the best in
Finals
already,
कब से
applying
हैं?
some pressure
January
over
से
towards
भाई.
Train to Kill, but slowly and methodically trying to get that information, holding on to whatever opportunities they have, because as they know, there are so many teams
कब
stacked
कल है ना?
into such a tiny
आज
area.
आज
such
आज
a
I mean
cramped
sorry
area.
yeah bro.
You can already see the turnaround there for Angry Men on the back line. IHC
मैंने
still
तुमको पता है
mixed
एक
in,
मैच
still
नहीं छोड़ा
alive,
था जब
still
से
somehow
वर्ल्ड कप
managing
चालू
to stay in
सारी
this one,
देखो
but for how
खाली
much
आज मैं
is the question.
टीम
Oh
कर रहा
yeah,
हूँ
we got a
इससे मैं नहीं
swimmer.
देख रहा हूँ.
IHC,
वर्ल्ड
IHC
कप
मैं
की
swimmer.
वॉच
सारी
पार्टी
देखो,
कर
सारी.
सकते हैं क्या?
Water explains why his HP is
पता
still
नहीं
red
कि
this
आप
whole
पता
time.
नहीं तुम
Game Lord gets a nice lock on a
Commenting.
train to kill from the high ground. Taking shots now. Bam. He's got to be a little bit careful.
Yeah.
Yeah, decides to.
तूने अब
back
मेरे को
off
सबसे
after
ज़्यादा
winning
मजा
off
पता है
that
किसमें
many
आता है?
rounds, 'cause you have a whole entire team. A Geek
कौन
Fam
सी
ready
commentary
to
में
fire
आता है?
back. That knock actually going to be stolen. Geek Fam.
Arabic.
7 eliminations
मेरे को
already
समझ
and
नहीं है ना
still with
I
4
know bro
players
मुझे
alive
कौन सी
and in a
समझ
very
मुझे थोड़ी
controlling
थोड़ी
position
समझ
on
आती है
that
but
guy.
उनका
Pick up a couple more,
जज्बा
yeah.
सुनने लायक
P2K
होता है.
just getting absolutely
It's crazy.
sandwiched by Game Lord and Geek Fam. Game Lord
वो
on
किस
the
बात
high
है
ground
वो?
position, but with only 2, not much that they could do.
They also might not just
भाई
get
मुझे
involved
गेम
in this
खिलाओ,
engagement, because as soon
मुझे
as they
क्लच
do,
करना है.
well then Geek Fam, they have that ability, they have that line
फकीर
of
भाई
sight
स्पीड
onto
फास्ट
game
करो,
lord. So
लैग
for the
हो रहा
time
है
being, Yuhai will
यार.
be
मैं
settled
15 बार
in
कर
to
चुका
get
हूँ,
a
ये फिर भी
confirmation of
लैग
Russian
होता
turn
है. ये लो
advantage.
फास्ट हो गया, फास्ट फास्ट फास्ट.
Spotting out
शाबाश.
game lord there, so some information is available, and they don't want to make that
मुझे गेम खिलाओ,
commitment.
मुझे क्लच
This
करना
northern
है.
side is looking absolutely stacked. Icy from IHC in the meanwhile has made it to land, so they've done with their swimming shenanigans. But all of the teams here towards the northern side still pressing in, still trying to give themselves space.
Look at how Geek Fam is moving right now.
Oh,
It's like sharks in a water.
Geek के 8
Vintage
किल ना.
POV, you can just see them cresting the ridge up and down,
Geek के 8 किल.
slowly, methodically getting more and more territory control.
यहाँ पे
clearing out
कोई
the
भी
sides.
तू देख
They're
रहा है
about to clear
क्लस्टर्ड
out
क्लटर्ड
trains to
कितना.
kill here.
कोई भी
That
बंदा
Molly,
1v4
though,
क्लच निकाल
not
सकता है वहां
fully
पे.
finishing this player out. No, but they know.
क्योंकि वही ना अभी
They
जोन का
smell
जो
the
मेटा
blood,
चेंज हुआ है ना,
and they will
उसके
go
बाद
for
से
it.
क्या हो
Up
गया
to
तुमको पता
9
है कि सब लोग
eliminations
जोन में
now,
एंट्री ले
still with
सकते
4
हैं.
members alive. And if they lose the
Agreed.
circle, more power to
क्योंकि
them.
पहले क्या होता था, थर्ड
So winning
सेकंड
condition,
जोन सब
baby.
कंट्रोल
Geek
में
Fam
रखते
just
थे, ठीक है,
run
सबके पास कितने
into
एज होता था
every
कि पूरा
single
क्या होता
zone.
था.
And
और
again,
थर्ड
it's not
थर्ड
winning,
जोन हार्ड
it's
शीट मारता था,
centering
तो
on
जिसको
allowing the likes of
फेवर होता
Rejects
था
still that
वो
opportunity and
उसके
center
बाद जोन
zone. But
होता था,
as you've
तो
mentioned
वो
before,
सबको किसी को
all
आने ही
that
नहीं
might
देता
be
था.
doing is putting a target on their back as the rest of the teams
और
now
अभी
need
कैसा
to
है
move
कि
in,
अगर
and
सेकंड
time is
जोन
running
शीट
out. Game
मारता है
down
हार्ड
with
शीट,
Victor,
तो
down
फिर
by
भी
only
टीम
2-1
ले
as
ले
Sharks
रही है
grab
क्योंकि सब लोग ऑलरेडी फर्स्ट जोन अपना लूटते
the
हैं और
situation.
धीरे धीरे
Leaving
स्लो
Victor
स्लो
alone
निकलते
will
हैं.
mean that Mika
तो
has the
सबका मतलब काम हो
perfect
जाता है,
line of
सबका
sight
रोटेशन
onto
ऑलमोस्ट
their
फ्री.
backsides.
You
कोई
know a
फास्ट
team
होगा
is
तो
scary
फास्ट,
when
अपना फास्ट
the
ही होता
last
है.
member up of the
True,
enemy
true,
और
team
true.
जोन का
will
डैमेज भी कम है
decide
ना.
to leave the ditch and
But I
run
think
on
बहुत
the
fair
flat
हो
ground
fair हो
wide
गया
in
अभी,
the
right?
open.
हाँ हाँ,
That's
मतलब
how
यही तो
scared
रियल
they
आज
are
जैसे
of this
जोन
Geek
बनता है
Fam
पबजी
team.
पीसी.
Geek Fam,
अब
they
कैसा है
get
कि ये लोग
edge control
ऐसे ही
now.
तो
Off
सब
they're
चेंजेस
going
लाते हैं
with
जो पबजी
10
पीसी में, वो धीरे धीरे
eliminations.
धीरे
It's going
धीरे
to come
इसमें
down
लाते
to
हैं.
FaZe versus Geek Fam.
तो ऑलमोस्ट सब
Luckily
कुछ
for
पबजी
FaZe,
पीसी
they
जैसा हो
have
गया है.
4 up. Geek Fam actually down to
नौ
3.
सौ बीस
Taking
सिर्फ
a
एक
look
ही
at it,
बचेगी
they
टीम
did
फ्यूचर
lose
एफपी, पर
one
वो कभी
member
नहीं
on the
बचेगा,
southern
टीम
side.
रहेगा.
We got Furious Gaming
True.
now,
Agreed.
finally forced to show their hand with 4 players. They will now take the high
तुमको
ground
पता है
and take the
चाइना
fight
में
to
एफपी भी होता
everyone
है.
else that they've been
कैसे?
shooting at pretty much through the
हाँ,
entirety
चाइना
of
में
the
एफपी
game. Tem Entertainment down to 2, caught in a tough spot, and they also have to worry about another
भाई
team
लेकिन
down on the southern side.
तुझे पता है अभी
Now,
अगर मैं यही
Tem
सोच रहा था,
Entertainment
कल
down
हम
to
डिस्कस
2.
कर रहे थे,
GD
अगर
Gibbs
गेम वापस
on
भी है ना
the
फिर भी
north
मजा
side,
नहीं है.
raining in pressure onto Furious Gaming.
क्यों
Furious Gaming
ग्लोबल मैच
does
मेकिंग
have
जब
one
तक
player
वापस
knocked.
नहीं
These
आएगा
are
यार तब
punching
तक
in.
मजा नहीं
They
है.
might not.
Unless they
They
don't
might
वो
lose
तो
resolve.
the
है,
entire
बट
team.
एटलीस्ट
It's just all down to Milos. Look at that. All 3 players
वो
trying
तो
to
रहेगा ना,
call
वो जैसे
in.
ग्लोबल इनवाइट तो रहेगा
GD
ही.
Gibbs here.
हाँ
Now
इनवाइट
punching
बेस
in
रहेगा,
for the
लेकिन
finish.
मैच मेकिंग जब तक नहीं होगी तब तक
You cannot
मतलब
mess with
यू नो
Genesis.
गेम
They will
इवॉल्व
lose one
नहीं
on the
होगी.
way with Rejects actually
People will
stepping
still
up.
be
This is
having that
some
issue.
fantastic form coming through for Rejects. They've
कुछ कर ही नहीं
completely shaked
सकते.
off what happened in that first map.
सिमिलरली
GD
जैसा
would
चाइना
find
का है
that
वैसे
final
अपना
hit
हो
onto
जाएगा.
Furious Gaming, but
True.
immediately
चाइना का
was
भी बात
retaliated on.
पता तो
Icy
खुद का ही
still
गेम
in
है,
the,
पीसी
the
पर
midst, just on the edge.
भाई ये
Geek Fam,
गो
in
ने
the
तो सिंगल
meantime,
क्लच
they've
में
lost
4
one.
प्लेयर उड़ा
Now
दिए
they
इनके.
might be in danger of losing a second, as FaZe might be
क्या
the
है ये
first
भाई, वो
team
कैसे
to
घुस
put
रहे
up
थे?
an assault against Geek Fam, as they've just been taking names after names after names. Will this be the final stop for Geek Fam, or will they still manage to be those survivors to move on into that next phase?
वो भी आगे टिफिन पर
FaZe
सोच के
looking good for now, but
मैंने
they
बहुत
can't
ऐसे
get the
देखा ही
finish.
नहीं चाइना में कुछ भी.
All of Geek Fam stuck
लेकिन
in
चलो वो भी
a
टीम पे आ
dip.
गए. बिकॉज़
But with
अल्टीमेटली
flat ground for
लोगों को
FaZe, they don't
टीपी
want to make
देखना
the
ज्यादा
push either.
पसंद
He
है
literally
और
got knocked earlier, so it is pretty much stalemated. Position advantage for Geek. But manpower for FaZe. However, this next zone is going to force the
Geek
Geek
does
Fam
kill,
onto
yes
the
bro.
opening
Geek is
themselves.
playing really good.
And this could
तुमको
be
क्या
the
बोला था?
demise
कि
for
जोन वो
Geek Fam.
कंपाउंड के आगे
4
ही
players
बनेगा.
of
देख लो.
FaZe. All they have to do is mount a
Knockout
good
के
defense
उस
and they
साइड
should be fine. But I see some smokes raining down for the Geek
साइड के
Fam
आगे
team.
नहीं
This might
बनेगा.
cause a lot of
और
trouble as the sightlines are
इजी
starting
चिकन
to
है.
be blocked.
बस ये बंदा इनको
Tony
पीटी
K,
ना दे.
though, thinks differently as he
Hmm.
gets
IC
knock
का
onto
गेम
Mika.
खराब
That's
कर
going to
सकता है
slow
भाग
down
ही
the push just for a little bit. They have the time to get the
I don't think
revive
IC
and push once
बचेगा
again
तब तक.
with 3, 4 a.m.
बचेगा ना
Now
लोग मिल
making the
जाएगा
move with the 3 players. They've been sitting very quiet in the entirety of the game.
Oh,
Now with
nice.
4am coming out, taking shots at the
Shot
reject
देखा
team
तूने भी
through the
4 AM
bus
वाले
window.
का.
Some
Oh,
very nice shots,
nice.
but neither team losing a
भाई
player
वो
yet.
7
And with 4am moving in, that provides an
इतना पुराना
opportunity for
player है ना
Geek Fam
तौकीर
to
भाई
go
ये.
more towards the southern
I know,
side. But
bro.
instead, they're going to be heading straight
I
into
think since
phase
और ये
existence
बहुत
ये बंदा
टाइम से
खेल रहा है.
down to a sliver of HP
और
and will
4
go
and
down
3 खेल
swinging
रहे
as
हैं.
well. Down to
Oh.
Damn Rude, who picks up like and
Oh,
looks for the
fuck.
second, has to retaliate as
Geek
Vanish
Van-
comes
Geek
through
wiped
from the
out?
back line. So unfortunately, Geek Fam, it was that manpower
वो
to
भी
absolute
phase से.
explosive energy that did go
और
the
क्या
way of
मारा
FaZe
वो
Clan.
बंदा
At
यार.
least they did manage to, put a hit into the FaZe Clan numbers.
We're finally down to the last 5 teams. By the way,
देखो आगे
H2
वो
still
भाई.
alive,
I
swimming in
Good.
from the water, playing so quiet.
HIC.
FaZe, after
I-
fighting with the likes of
IHC,
Geek Fam,
IHC.
too many of them got knocked in
Mongolia
the
की
process
team
of
है.
that fight, and the other teams will take advantage. Now the reject team up to 9 eliminations, getting 2 on 4am. 4am with the mad full send. They will go down as
हक
well.
दिए 4M
Oh, last ditch
दिए.
effort.
क्या
And now
किए
it's
लोग
down to
थे.
GK and the rejects team.
GK
भाई जरूरत ही
भाई.
नहीं थी.
Still
जरूरत ही नहीं थी.
in the picture. These
But
teams
why did they
जरूरत ही
push?
नहीं
are
थी.
definitely
Why?
thinking it's
अभी
important.
इसके
तो मैं
पास
बोल रहा हूँ,
Icy,
जरूरत ही नहीं
इसके
थी.
पास
never
med
got the
pack
meds.
भी नहीं है आईसी
He's
के
been
पास.
swimming in the water, never had the meds, got onto land.
बोला था
Has he
आपको
managed
दोनों
to
को
find a
जरूरत
box
ही नहीं थी
maybe
इस
to
चीज
pick
की.
up
क्या
some
किए लोग.
bandages?
दोस्त
Icy,
का सब था
1
थोड़ा
HP.
चीज
He's going to be
तो
as
कैसे
quiet as possible. Rejects and GK in a standoff. Last zone has already
अबे आईसी
closed,
को
and
कोई
she's
med
gonna
pack दे दो
go
भाई.
straight into the middle, giving a
कौन देगा?
huge advantage
कोई
to
नहीं
GK
देगा
as they
भाई.
control a majority
अबे इसको
of
कहीं
the
पे कोई
terrain.
डेथ क्रेड भी नहीं मिल
Rejects
रहा.
slowly moving in, doing what they can, actually wrapping down, and actually GK will find Icy. Now it's a 3v2 situation. Whoever gets the first knock will be huge, but GK with a position, Hope coming out, holding the high ground, pretty much setting up a crossfire sightline for the Rejects team, making this extremely difficult. You see Rejects wanted to isolate the lower angle by sweeping down low, but the flats is not going to
अब
be
गया आईसी.
good enough for them. And GK will crunch them in. Shots going back and
चलो
forth
top
here.
3
Both
तक
reject
लेके
players
आया.
stuck and cornered in the blue. 3v1
भाई, Golden
situations
Games
down to
Pro कर
reject,
दिया है.
but it is
क्या
not enough.
किया?
GK
Easy game था उनका.
will take a dub, and one
They
of
didn't
the
need to do a
more
push.
difficult Miramar matches we'll see
ये लोग
for
सब कहाँ से खेल
everybody
रहे हो?
here.
ये
Look,
सभी
it
लैंड
came
पे ही
down to
हैं
that
अभी भी
awareness from GK
जकार्ता में
esports,
खेल
using
रहे
their numbers advantage to the
उनका अलग
absolute
से
best,
कैबिन
including on
हाँ,
the
इनका
just
हर
at
एक
the
को
start,
पॉड दिया
making
हुआ है.
sure that their flanking opportunities were cut down, making sure that there were no surprises
तो मतलब ऐसा
from the
स्टेडियम
likes of
वेडियम
IC.
टाइप
Not that
है
I think
क्या?
IC had any opportunity to
हाँ.
do so, because as you said, only
It's
1
a
HP,
indoor
they
stadium.
were planning to just hide it out and see what placements
तो
could
अभी
come from it.
मतलब
But
हम जो
because of
ऐसी
that,
भीड़ हो
because
गया
they
तो अब
managed
उनका
to
कभी
open
डाले.
up that space,
Sorry?
they cut
इसके
off
बाद जो
any
फाइनल होगा
opportunity that
वो हो
Rejects
गया.
had
अब
to
जो
get a
फाइनल्स
flanking
होंगे ना वो
position
होंगे
on that. They
बाली
just
में.
that 2-1 split in the final moments with Hope on the high rise. It was pretty much
They are qualified for final ऐसा.
Yeah, they qualified
and
for the
so,
finals.
Yeah, for Rejects, they really
तो
didn't have
top 2
space to
teams
work
will
with.
qualify for
Top
final.
3, top
That
3
was a
from each group.
slow
Top 3.
grind
बाकी के
of the
up
match.
to I think
Everybody towards
11
that
will
late
qualify
game,
for
just
the
getting advantages and then losing it.
another round,
Back
which will
and
be
forth,
mainly
we saw
जिसमें से
Phoenix Gaming,
जो भी
the
teams
rise of
निकलेंगे
Core
हर
that
group से.
instantly gets cut down.
Let's say 8
GK
teams.
fighting through a
वो
multitude
फिर
of
बाद में
issues.
they will
Reject
they will
teams
also battle
surviving
again और उसमें से
through
4 टीमें
really
जाएंगी फिर
all
final.
hell, just, centering
And
up
invited
very
I think
early
3
and then just
teams
getting
थी.
surrounded, but managing to set
the
up
final?
a strong
Yeah, pre-qualified
defense.
fan favorite or something like
Ultimately,
that.
though,
But
this
they were
match,
qualified.
we do see the Japan team,
वो
the
Chinese
Reject team,
teams
the
थी
team
कुछ. I
that
don't remember
went
the
out
name
first
exactly.
in that last match will get a second place, but GK will get the chicken dinner instead.
अच्छा तो अखिल भाई मैं डिस्कॉर्ड पे म्यूट हूँ नमाज पढ़ने जा रहा हूँ नमाज पढ़ के आ रहा हूँ
ठीक है
बाद
भाई.
में इसमें आ जाऊंगा
ठीक है bro. वो Chinese teams थी कुछ. I don't remember the name exactly.
अच्छा तो अखिल भाई मैं डिस्कॉर्ड पे म्यूट हूँ नमाज पढ़ने जा रहा हूँ नमाज पढ़ के आ रहा हूँ
ठीक है.
बाद में इसमें आ जाऊंगा
ओएस का साउंड क्लियर नहीं आ रहा भाई. आई नो डिस्कॉर्ड का कुछ मसला है. वो कराता हूँ कल तक ठीक करा दूंगा. ओएस का साउंड क्लियर नहीं आ रहा भाई. आई नो डिस्कॉर्ड का कुछ मसला है. अभी टी के सारे प्लेयर कहाँ हैं? They just reached home, bro.
And it's GK that end up winning the first Miramar match, but it does look like Reject end up stealing the most points here in the first Miramar of today, 7.
GK with an amazing performance back to back, by the way, for them to be able to come out with that chicken dinner with how much they had to rotate. Love the difference there from the first game to what we're seeing here. And then with that, I mean, Reject, we got to give him some props too. 12 eliminations, 24 points total Imperium.
अभी मैं देखता हूँ ये Discord का मेरा बंदा आ सकता है क्या?
And you said it, this is Pmgc, you know, and
Mod आ
Reject proved
सकता
that
है
they
क्या
deserve
ठीक
to
करने
be
के
here,
लिए?
bouncing back from a poor game 1 to get a fantastic result in game 2, a little bit of revenge on the 4 angry men as well along the way. You know, 6 eliminations for Divine, 4 for Rejoko. You know, that purple
अभी
hair
मैं
is doing
देखता हूँ ये
wonders.
Discord का मेरा बंदा
Oh
आ
yeah,
सकता है
it's the
क्या?
purple hair buff, man. You know, we've seen a couple players with the blonde hair
तो अगर
buff.
भाई ST के सारे तो अगर भाई
6
ST के
eliminations
सारे
plus 2
अच्छा तो अगर भाई
achievements,
ST के सारे
right there.
प्लेयर एक्शन
Man, I
की
mean, just the
एज क्या
plays,
है
the movement
19
that you see in
ये
Miramar,
मैच इज
it's
इंडोनेशिया में
just
हाँ
so
भाई
dynamic. The zone was a little bit toxic, I
These
think. I
are
don't
in
think a lot of players
Indonesia.
were a really big fan of it, but still, you know, I think so. I think so, because anytime I see that particular zone going to like the south side, you know, it's just, it's always a pain, especially for rotating.
Yeah.
तो
And
अगर
Zute
भाई
made a
ST के
pretty
सारे
decent
अच्छा
point
तो
that,
अगर
like,
भाई
it's an
ST
area
के
of the map
सारे
that
प्लेयर
not a lot of
एक्शन
teams
की
will
एज क्या
traverse
है
a lot of the
19
time, obviously, unless
ये
the
मैच
circle
इज
goes.
इंडोनेशिया में हाँ
That
भाई
way, it's rare that it goes that,
These are in
you know,
Indonesia.
that long in the southeastern side of the map for that long in the game. So, yeah, very unknown quantities for a lot of teams in that game too, Seb.
I mean, when you go into the second circle and it is about 50 to possibly 60% water, yeah, I'd say it's a toxic, a very, very toxic circle. But I was impressed with what some of the teams were able to do to counter that, right? We saw a little bit, even though there wasn't that much area for teams to move around, we saw teams willing to take a bit of a split to just hold a little bit more land. That's what you want to see. By the way, we saw Geek Fam Mika again on the top performers, which is great to see out of that team because that team is being so aggressive. I love it.
Like Geek Fam as a whole, even up until the bitter end, they still pushed FaZe, right? They were like, look, we're going down swinging, guys. They pushed in, they ended up losing it, but man, for them to have that level of aggression and just great team synergy, they weren't like too huddled together. You saw UI was playing that kind of support role quite effectively in the backline. You had Mika in the front line. They were just really working so well together, playing on the high grounds on that northern side. It was so good. Like they punished the likes of T2K who were too late rotating at a compound. They punished so many other teams around them. Yeah, just a wonderful performance again from Geek Fam. Too huddled together. You saw UI was playing that kind of.
I mean, when you have a player like Mika just go off like that, you know that's gonna hype up the squad. Speaking of hype, let's go ahead and take a quick break to cool down a little bit, and we'll be right back here in just a second.
So good, like they punished the likes of T2K.
And we're back. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you guys are really enjoying the show. And of course, we have to give a big thank you to our sponsors to make this show possible. Gotta give a shout out to Sony with their Xperia 1.4 and Xperia Stream. They were actually created in collaboration with professional esports players. You guys can play PUBG Mobile in 90 Hz with Xperia Stream's total cooling system and multiple ports for intensive gaming and streaming. Also, got to give a big shout out to our platinum sponsor, Prime Gaming. You guys can get some free in-game content with Prime Gaming, as well as some other great Prime benefits. So go check it out, get some in-game items, and check out some of their other premium content. You guys saw it there in the ad, and I hope you guys can enjoy it. Now that we've got that, I think it's time we take a look here at the overall rankings to see how everything is stacking up here after a couple matches, and it looks like GK Esports, with that consistency, are going to take the top spot for now, Seven.
Consistency is definitely key, and that's what they've been able to do in the back-to-back matches. 39 points for them, but I mean, then you have 4 angry men with the performances that were able to put up in the first game, and kind of following up some there in the second game. Second place for them in Reject. This is going to be a big bounce back, right? Because remember, they're 0 points in the first match, and for them to make that jump up, it's huge, Imperium.
It is, but one thing that I've noticed, and I kind of slightly expected this in Group Yellow simply because of it being the first PMGC for number 2. It's quite top heavy, right? You got kind of already over 30 points dividing 16th and kind of first, second, and third. So that's something that hopefully we will see change, because you want to see the bottom teams come back up and show us what they've got. But it does leave me a little bit worried.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm so
The first PMGC for number
excited for Sandhawk. You know, Sandhawk, I know, is going to wake up those teams at the bottom. It's going to wake everybody up, because the action is always like this, baby. Papa Blue is going to come in heavy, and let's see which teams that you guys are keeping an eye on here for this Sandhawk match 7. I see you got Geek Fam on there. I think it makes sense how they're performing so far.
I do, and I'll tell you why in just a second. First of all, I want to talk about IHC, and the reason why I want to talk about them is because I felt like they could have done a lot better in the rotation if they wouldn't have taken 8 minutes to fully commit to an actual hot drop. That's how long it took for them to actually get into a fight against Besiktas. You can't wait that long. If you got to do a hot drop, you got to decide within at least 2 minutes. Okay, we are either going to be taking this fight, or we're going to be rotating out, because a lot of them got caught in the rotation. And then you got, Geek Fam. The aggressiveness that we're seeing out of this team, I absolutely love it, Imperium.
Definitely. Reject the bounce back, incredibly impressive. EK, man, back-to-back strong results, especially against teams like 4 Angry Men, is not easy. This is their first PMGC, but they are making it count in a big way. And of course, I had the Big Bone Boys furious. I saw them in Americas. I was a little bit worried, said it, but it was a much cleaner, swifter performance coming in from that southern edge. They didn't have as much traffic around them, but they still dealt with what they had very well. It was a step-by-step progress for them.
Some of their players do have PMGC experience, so I wonder if that's playing into part.
Yeah, definitely would.
I think it has to. I think it has to, absolutely. Take a look at some of the player shots here as these players are getting ready. See some hearts being thrown up, and we'll see how the performance does, and hopefully we'll see those hearts still stay up here. Team's getting ready.
Dukes, I got a question for you.
That's so crazy. No, go ahead, bring it.
I got a question for you, Imperium. Do we think we're going to be seeing, and also for everybody currently watching, let us know in chat as well, do you think we're going to be seeing any hot drops here in Sandhawk?
Yes. The answer? Yes. Okay, yes. 100%. All right, let's see if we're going to see them. Let's take it on over to our casters for some Sandhawk action.
Thank you, Hot Jukes. Hot drops, yes or no? My money's on yes. Looking at these teams, the way they've been playing, I feel like certain teams are definitely confident in taking a fight, or at least dropping on top of each other. And with Sandhawk, of course, being such a small map, there's got to be at least one hot drop. Am I right, S-Proxy? At least one.
At least, man. I mean, we started off with the
Hey,
biggest maps that
action.
we have available, and we still had hot drops. So over towards Sandhawk, surely Ruins is going to have a little bit of action. I mean, there's so many great opportunities for hot drops on Sandhawk that, you know, it could just be absolutely fire.
Speaking of Ruins, that was actually where the hot drop was happening in last week's Sandhawk matches. Yeah, no one actually took the fight in boot camp, nor Paradise. We'll see how this one plays out. 4 a.m. out very early on the eastern side of things. On the north, we see 2 teams, Train to Kill and Genesis, I believe. No, that is actually Game Lords on the northern side. It looks more like a split, though. 3 teams flying over boot camp. One of them is probably going towards Camp Alpha, I'd imagine. And 2 of them, though, are indeed landing within boot camp, a little bit of a split fight on the northern side, and then I do think we will have a boot camp hot drop.
Oh yes, that was Besiktas in phase, and we saw this happening in the scrims as well, so it looks like both teams are looking to set some dominance up in here. MR5 going to be the first player to drop down for the time being as Besiktas swarm on in, and this is beautiful for them because they're taking that central position and they're making sure that phase are actually split up. Now it's only 1-for-1, and each of those players are isolated.
Yeah, 2v3 situation now. Venturas did get a trade knock back.
Okay,
They
भाई
need to
कभी
add the
एचपी
pressure.
और
They need to just go for
हम
it
लोग
right
के
now.
सामने है
Even
तो
if
हमारी
it
तो
is
फाइट होगी
unfavorable
फिर
for
can
them,
fight, guys.
the longer they take, they're just going to get
Yeah,
revived. So
Fasido,
now it's a 1v2. Venturas
हेलो
tries to get the
Fasido
second
भाई
one. Now just like that, down
हेलो
to a
हेलो
1v1
हाँ अभी सुनाई दे रहा है
बोल
situation.
रहा हाँ अभी
It's
आई
all
यार
down to
मैं बोल रहा हूँ कभी
Pmgc versus
कभी समझो एचपी और
Venturas
हम
here.
लोग सब
They'll
सामने
go
आपके
back
सामने आ
and
गए
forth.
हमारी तो फाइट
Oh, he
होगी
goes
पहले
aggressive. Ventura smells
अच्छा तुम
we
weakness.
can fight
He will go for the clutch finish and will get the revive on
Oh.
Tony K. 1 HP. That was FaZe getting 2
तुझे
knocked
हम
down
तो ऐसे
early.
कमाल की
And
दुलाई
only
होगी ना
one
तौकीर
रीमा
भाई
made back.
देखो
So it
उवैस भाई
was
बहुत
a
लोग आए
2v4
बहुत लोगों ने
for
कोशिश
the
की
side of FaZe camp.
बहुत
हाँ
लोगों ने
भाई
कोशिश
तो
की
बोला हमारी धुलाई
Top.
होगी निर्मा पाउडर के साथ
I feel like
निर्मा
Besiktas
पाउडर वाली धुलाई
they
होगी
really need to work on just
बट
their their close
तो
range
यार
synergy. We saw in that fight,
हम
you
नॉट
know,
फिनिश
just
कर
on
देंगे एक
Miramar,
ऐसा है
they had one
समझ रहे हो?
teammate isolated for the longest time.
ऐसा नहीं
and
आई
they
थिंक
did
लाइक
not support him.
फाइट होगी जरूर
Somehow
लाइक तू मुझे एक बात
Besiktas
बता
starts
यू आर
off
एन यू आर अ
the fight
प्लेयर
with a
एंड यू आर एन
4v2,
आईजीएल राइट
and then they
मुझे
end
ये
up
बात
losing
समझा
the
ड्रॉप
one
क्लैश से
as well.
फायदा क्या है
So, but Besiktas, they need to pull it together.
लाइक इट नेवर
फायदा
मेड
नहीं है
सेंस
It's a
चल
question mark for
नहीं
them because
चल
they look so
फायदा
much
नहीं है
better
अगर
in this
टूर्नामेंट
engagement than
इंपॉर्टेंट हो
what they've done
मैं नहीं लेता
in
हूँ
any
अगर
of the other
टूर्नामेंट
maps. And if they
इंपॉर्टेंट हो
started
तो
off,
नहीं
they
लेता
got
हूँ
those 2 eliminations, they
दैट्स
isolated the
माय
final 2
पॉइंट राइट
players. They,
सो
yeah, again, to remind you, the phase,
मुझे
the
एक
last
बात
two
बता
games
मतलब
for
तुम
phase,
कितनी भी
were
अच्छी टीम
isolated.
रहो
They had no
बट
backup.
अगर
They were
गलती
playing
से
as a duo.
तुम्हारे
They
एक
didn't
या
have the
दो बजे
opportunity.
फिनिश
They
हो
had
जाए
to just go in
खत्म
gunslinging and hope
या
that
अब
they
गेम
get
आगे
shots, and they
कंटिन्यू
did
हो ही
because
नहीं सकती
Besiktas, I don't know, maybe it's a
दैट्स माय
भाई
पॉइंट
communication thing.
राइट
There was a little bit of
यही
chaos,
तो रीजन
but
था
they need
हमने
to turn
खुद
it
ही
around.
पता
They
हमारे
need
को
to
खुद
keep that
फाइट
structure
फाइट हो रहा था
going as
हाँ
तो
we
हमने
saw
बहुत
do
ट्राई
in
किया
any
बट हम
phase of
लोग
that
जीत
engagement.
नहीं
So
पा
the
रहे थे
opportunities
ठीक
there
है
definitely. I just
तो वो
don't know
बाद में
what
मैंने
is
रियलाइज किया कि
just
मतलब
missing for Besiktas
अभी
that
तो
they
ठीक है
can't
मतलब
bring in
छोटी
that
मोटी
execution
टूर्नामेंट
for
में
the
कर लेंगे
duration
क्योंकि
of that fight. But
ड्रॉप छोड़ना नहीं है
either
ड्रॉप
way,
से बहुत फेमिलियर रूल
that was an
बट
interesting
हाँ
boot
जैसे ही
camp.
बड़ी
And
टूर्नामेंट आई
now
मैंने
the
दूसरे
question
ड्रॉप
is,
से
do you think
खेलना
Besiktas
चालू
are
किया
going to
और
change their
इवन
drop location for the
मतलब मैंने
next
सबसे
day
ज्यादा
on
स्कोर
Saturday?
सेनऑफ किया समझ रहे हो
हम्म
इरेंगो और
I think
मीरामार से
so.
ज्यादा जो
I think
पॉइंट्स
if you're
मेरे
a
को
boot camp
अभी जो
team,
हुआ था पता है
just in
बीजी
general, if you're a boot
बीएमपीएस
camp
क्या
team,
हुआ
you
था
gotta
यार
look more
या
dominant.
या या या
जो
या
So
स्टार
far, out
स्कोर
of the
मिलाया
three
था
games, I
हम्म
do not see
मैंने
a
सेनऑफ में ही सबसे ज्यादा पॉइंट
aggressive
स्कोर किया था
ट्रू
team out of the
या
likes of
तो
Besiktas.
तो
Not as
ऐसा
aggressive
मतलब ऐसा नहीं
whatsoever.
मैं
And
जिद्दी
this
नहीं हूँ
might
कि
sound
मेरे को
harsh.
लड़ना
I
ही
wouldn't
लड़ना है
feel like a
कभी
team
कभी
हाँ
is
दिमाग
coming
यूज
to me
करके
at all
बेटर
so far. Like
वही
they
तो
know
मैं भी कह रहा हूँ ना दैट इट डजंट लाइक इट डज अभी देख ले फॉर इंस्टेंस यू
it
डू
just
अ
keeps
ड्रॉप
coming
क्लैश
down
आई
to
गेट
that one
ड्रॉप
player
क्लैश मेरे हिसाब
isolated
से आपको
for
उस
that
सिचुएशन में
long,
सेंस बनाता
and
है
no one had
कि
sight
अगर
lines.
तुम्हें
Across
पता
the
है लेट्स
board,
से
either
तुम्हारे ऊपर
Ventura,
टीम ने
IHC,
लीड
that
बना
whole team was
रखी है
wide
ठीक
and
है
open for
तो
someone to
अब
take
तुम्हारे
shots
लिए
from
बेस्ट
and
ऑप्शन ये
cause
है
some pressure.
तुम्हारी विनिंग
They need to see
पॉसिबिलिटीज
that.
बढ़
And
जाती है
also,
इफ यू टेक डाउन अ
I don't think
स्पेसिफिक टीम
Besiktas is cut
राइट
out
यस
for
और
that
वो
boot
भी एक
camp
रीजन है और
hot
एक
drop.
रीजन ये है कि
And
तुम
also,
लीड में हो
you
अच्छी
need that
खासी
killer
या
mentality,
एंड देन
right?
यू डोंट
Like,
केयर
when it
Yeah.
came down to that
या
1v1, as IHC
या
right
तुम
here getting
ऑलरेडी
into a
क्वालिफाई
fight
हो
with
चुके
IHC,
हो
man, this team just keeps finding themselves
बहुत सारे
in
मतलब
trouble.
वेरियस रीजन
And
है
that is going to be
समझो टॉप
IHC
16
losing. But I
क्वालिफाई
think
होने
the
वाली है तुम
Rejects
ऑलरेडी
will be
सेकंड या
fine.
थर्ड पे हो और
Looking
आखिरी
at
के
the rest
3
of the
गेम
map, I
बचे
don't
हैं
think there's
तुमको
going to
पता
be
है तुम
any
और नीचे
other
जा नहीं पाओगे
fights
तो तुम
really
अपनी अपने
engaging
ड्रॉप
out.
किल
But
लड़ो
just as I say that, it looks like IHC
अग्रीड
can pack down. They're actually going to get
अग्रीड
more aggressive, getting close with the grenade.
अभी
Really
आई
gets
थिंक
the
लाइक
bet
यू नो
instead.
लाइक
Only
होल
gets
इंडियन
back up
गेमिंग
on the
कम्युनिटी
defensive.
वाज गेटिंग
Yeah,
esports was
just
getting
managing
so
to get that res
interesting
onto
I
Divine.
mean I
try to
was
back off, get
enjoying
some res, but bam,
those
they come
fights. I
down
was
once again.
enjoying, like,
Icy
जो
just
drop
pinpoint
clashes हो रहे
accurate,
थे.
and they've got their duo in Valve Demo. They
It was
still
very
have the likes of
entertaining
Alex
from,
as well
like,
coming in. Oh,
knowing the
massive
story of the teams and then
picking up
how
the
they are doing
second.
drop
This
clashes.
is
And उसके
huge
बाद बंदा
now.
बोलता है अभी
They
देखो
just
अभी
need to take
audience
that
से क्या
further.
reaction
Yeah,
आएगा.
that was key actually with the
So,
third party.
but yeah, that
was the
part I
cross
missed.
angle that the rejects were really relying on
That
to
part
pin
I
in
missed.
the
जिस
pressure.
तरीके से अभी
But
कंपटीशन
getting
इंडिया
third
भी जो
party now, all
खुद
of a
के
sudden
आपस में
rejects
एक
looking
दूसरे
like
को
आपस में
बहुत बहुत बात कर
position
रहे
with
थे.
strong
बहुत
sidelines.
बहुत
Suddenly,
बहुत
at a
I'll say
huge
rather
disadvantage,
उतना
pressure
मैंने
all
कहीं
the
पे नहीं
way
देखा है
back
जितना I
into
know for a
corner
fact
duello.
that
We'll try and get that
like
revive,
even
but it's
South
not just
Asia
the
में we are
Van
so
here
active,
for the
right?
eliminations. It's also
South Asia में भी इतना नहीं
IHG.
होता
IHG
जितना यहाँ पे इंडिया में
getting
होता है
peppered
like
by
पूरे
just
South
a
Asia में
little bit. Duello, what can he do in this situation?
Alex
This
के या
अरे
नीचे Okay.
भड़क गई
अबे
Get
बढ़
one knock
गया.
onto Alex,
Nice.
but the trade quickly comes through.
Nice. Very good.
IHC looking a
भड़क
lot better
गई भाई
here
लोग
with
भड़क
3
गई थी
eliminations
भाई दौड़ा
already.
दौड़ा के मार दी
Polar
भाई
भाई
जिस दिन इनका डेमो चमक गया ना,
out
डेमो
first
वापस फॉर्म में
there,
आ
though,
गया.
getting a
Bro,
second place and ending
I
up
mean
losing
like that guy
once
is too good,
in
bro.
the second match with the
Way
9
too good.
eliminations,
मैंने उसके
back down to being the first team taken out on the third.
मैंने उसके 2-4 मतलब
I'll take it to the
टूर्नामेंट्स
second
देखे
if
हैं.
he talks about Pashika.
He
So
plays
right.
really really good.
That
it's
happened so
okay.
quick.
Too much happens. Too
Yeah.
much happening.
अब
And
इन पे
already
geek
FaZe
आ
has
गई,
joined the
Alex
third
बाहर.
party action. I thought it was going to be Geek Fam to apply that pressure to IHC, but
नॉक में
unfortunately
फाइट
they
लेने का
are
यही
just caught in the
डिसएडवांटेज है
midst of
क्योंकि
danger.
छोटा
FaZe
मैप है
already with 5
और लोगों को
eliminations
जल्दी
off
आवाज
the
सुनने
back
में
of
आ
that
जाती
boot camp action.
True.
But again, they're running here with only a duo.
है जो भी
Demo
थर्ड
going to be
पार्टी
peeking
करने
around the
आते
corner,
हैं
applying
सबको
so
फ्री
much
को मारो तो
damage, but
सीखो
unfortunately not hitting those final
True.
shots to make it count. But Icy is here
Wow.
for the backup.
Yeah, good trades for
nice.
IHC. This team showing signs of potential greatness. The aggression's there. The aim is there. The knocks are there. It's just that they're constantly running into multitudes of teams to fight against and just getting
क्या वो दीपक क्लिक इकबाल
a
असद
little
भाई
bit caught out. Maybe too aggressive,
मुझे भाई
especially for
पब्लिक
Sandhawk,
गेम का
right?
इंतजार
Third
करती
partying
भाई
is always a huge concern for everybody on Sandhawk. So maybe this was not the map to go guns blazing. But at least they pick up a few eliminations. Down to just one player now for IHC. Maybe they'll pull off another miracle placement. And I do think, it was actually Icy that managed to sneak his way all the way into third place on the last Miramar match. Next circle comes out. We will be shifting down to the south, so a lot of question marks for these teams no longer, there, because it could have been northwest, could have been on the eastern side, could have been on the southern side, but now more than likely it will be a southern finish for Sandhawk. We're already down to 50 players, Proxy.
मुझे लगता है geek का chicken.
The opportunity there for Icy is that there's a lot of rivers, there's a lot of water, so if they want to take another swim into great placements, it's available, of course, but the rest of the teams are going to be applying a lot of pressure. As we know, so many teams rotating on in from both that northwestern side, from Camp Alpha, and the northeastern side being, of course, Boot Camp with Nongshim Red Force, and of course the likes of Genesis, Dogma, Gids moving on in from that cave direction. So the outskirts of the zone is going to be quite packed, but the question here now is how is FaZe going to get themselves out of the situation? First, they thought they had to worry about IHC. That's okay. That's done for the time being. Then Geefam was in the vicinity, but now 4 Angry Men move on up into this contention here. And this is an interesting opportunity because Nongshim Red Force just on the other end making a similar rotation.
Yeah, Game Lords doing the same exact rotation, running into Nongshim Red Force. That was a quick rotation knock right there. Game Lords, they do get the info that there is a team ahead of them now. Game Lords might look to wrap all the way back around. They do have vehicles. Nongshim will pick up that little moped for themselves. But yeah, Nongshim has the likes of 4 AM to go through. They have a lot of teams to go through. But with these vehicles, they might just, rotate and swing all the way around. They hear the gunshots just south of them. And it looks like they're
मसल
instead of
मेमोरी अगर
trying
अच्छे
to
से
peek
बिल्ड हो
on over
जाएगी
there,
तो
they're
फिर अपने
gonna
आप हेड ही
turn,
लगते
tail, and wrap around. There is a lot of space to work with though, because so many teams did fight
और
early.
वो ट्रैप
So
जगह
it
पे आ
clears
गई
up a lot rotations wise.
FaZe, I can tell you one thing, they are definitely not afraid. They are still applying the pressure to 4 Angry Men, hopefully giving themselves some space at least in for a few more minutes into the zone. They've already taken one knock from 4 AM. Unfortunately, they can't move on in for that elimination because if they do, it's a 2-on-4. So I don't know how it's going to pan out for them, at least for the time being. That firepower will suppress the push from 4 AM. But it's going to be a question mark to see how long they can last here and how many other teams might jump into the third party opportunity.
एक्सपेक्ट करो जैन में मेरे को
उसकी
कोई
तो
आइडिया
कितने
नहीं
बजे तक खत्म होता है
Deciding to wrap
शेयरिंग
around
टोटल
on this one. A lot of teams fearing the bridge cap, and rightly so.
हेलो ओके
We
भाई
do have a Geek Fam with one player, Snipes,
हेलो हेलो.
camping the bridge on the
हाँ मैं
west
कह रहा हूँ
side.
3-4 घंटे लगते हैं
FaZe
इसमें.
and 4 AM.
मैं पूरा तो नहीं करूंगा मैं. I think like इसके बाद एक और मैप and then
Things
I'll
will slow
also
down just a
say
little
bye bye.
bit here as teams are trying to figure out
जिम जाऊंगा ना
where to go in
Yeah,
this
yeah.
zone.
एक और
So
मैच इसके
more
बाद then
often than
we'll
not,
see.
teams will just edge into the
Unless
side
इसमें
away
कुछ
from the circle
interesting हो.
shift.
वो मुझे लग नहीं रहा है कुछ interesting होगा.
Train to Kill has been one of those teams that I feel like they've been so
नहीं
close
उतना मजा
into
नहीं है
making
उसका
something
उतना.
happen, but then I mean, we had a 1v4
विश्वास
happen on
तुम्हारे
Erangel.
मुझ पे
How are you
एकदम बंद
supposed
हो
to
गया
predict that? How are you
अरे
supposed to
हो
imagine
गया
that that was something that was
yeah.
going to happen? But again, that comes down to the side of train to kill. Hopefully, now coming through from the southern portion, it might give them some opportunity. That zone moving to the south as well means that it cuts the amount of time they have to rotate a little bit shorter. But GK Esports just up ahead of them. We still have this contention with 4 AM and FaZe.
वैसे एक
And
बात
now
बता,
the added pressure of the zone shift and Nongshim Red Force
तेरी
in the
ड्रीम
midfield.
टीम क्या होगी अगर तू इंडिया से, तुझे इंडिया से एक रोस्टर उठाना है,
Go for a very
ठीक है,
fast.
तो आईजीएल नहीं है, तू मैनेजर है,
Here comes a rotation now.
ठीक है, तुझे एक टीम उठानी है और पीएमजीसी लेके जानी है.
Rotating on the moped.
What will be the
is
team?
Sandhawk. Can easily get ripped out. And
पीएमजीसी लेके
Sandhawk
जानी है
setting up
टीम
some
इंटरनेशनल के
cover
लिए.
fire potentially.
So you have to pick a roster
Does
from
not
India.
wanna
You
be on
cannot
back.
play yourself. You are just the
Don't
manager.
blame them.
Which 4 players
We're
will you
gonna take
pick?
a swim. That's all, Zute. You know, it's a little bit hot in Sandhawk, so just gonna be taking a quick dip.
और एक
and
extra
moving on
player
into
भी,
that rotation.
fifth substitute भी बताना.
Speaking about rotations, we have Genesis Dogma gets here, rotating by Furious Gaming. Furious Gaming
तो
on
मतलब
the
अभी
high
तक
ground,
खेला
applying
हूँ
good amount of
देखो मैं
pressure.
I choose Ash as an
Genesis Dogma
ideal
gets should be
Uh-huh.
okay. If they just wrap a little bit more
Ash
down to the south,
I
there's almost
choose
nobody on the southern sides
Jonathan
besides Train to Kill, the team you mentioned.
I
They'll get a
choose
nice little entryway
Akash
far deep in the southern side.
Uh-huh.
D Xavier wrapping far south
I
from the
choose the
western side, a little bit
sorry
split up
sorry
though. All three
आपकी
players
आवाज
on
कट रही है.
different sections of
आ
the
रही है
western
अभी
water
Hello,
side.
hello.
अब आ
It's
रही
going to be
है
हाँ,
interesting because
better.
if they can move
So
into
Ash
that
as an
direction, they might
IGL.
not come. But they
हाँ
will be pretty close to
Okay.
Train to Kill later on with that phase
Jonathan
shift. But at least for the time
Akash
being, hopefully they
Jyoti
can group up. They can get themselves prepped in to move
और
from that
Zigod
southwestern portion because then they've got
Or
a
Z-God.
fantastic opportunity
Substitute
with
player.
GK Esports moving to
Actually
Smackdown
तो ग्रुप
center
में जो
zone
था कि
allows more of that
उसके
space
हिसाब
towards the
से
southern
अकॉर्डिंग
portion.
क्या
Phase
बेचता
getting
है
caught out
वो तो
by the
टीम
team
ही
they were
डिसाइड
not
कर
expecting.
So
Falcons
as per
moving on in
you,
here for the kill. We
Ash
found
is the
one,
best
and now they
IGL
want to
so far
finish off the likes
in
of FaZe.
हाँ
IGC.
मतलब क्योंकि मैं
This is an interesting
मैं
pitch
और
for
मतलब
Falcons.
मैं पहले आईजीएल था
This area of the map is
था
not in
हाँ.
zone,
तो
and
अभी
Blue
मतलब
Zone's
जिस
so
तरीके
close
से गेम
behind. I saw they
इधर
had
इंडिया
4
में तो मैं
players and
समझ जाता कि
vehicles.
ऐश
Could
प्रॉपर आईजीएल कर रहा
potentially
था
just taking a fight
समझ
हाँ.
में आता है ना उनकी
more
गेम से
in zone.
मतलब
हाँ.
ऐश
Want to
को
hear everything
ऐश
slowly.
को जो
What
आईजीएल
is
सिखाया ऐश को जो आईजीएल अभी
done
वो
right?
था
FaZe is
नहीं
going
आईजीएल
down
को
to 2
बनाया गया है
players here.
मतलब
Hmm.
शुरू से उससे
Trying to
बनाया
make
है
a valiant
Hmm.
last
तो
stand.
आईजीएल
Firing off
है
a lot of
वो
shots,
बहुत
not much
ज्यादा
connecting though.
नॉलेज
You're
है
down to one player.
Hmm.
You got to go a little bit aggressive, and
तो
that's
लॉट्स
the
ऑफ
perfect
इंडिया में
timing to
बहुत
go
सारे
aggressive.
आईजीएल
As powerful
मतलब प्रिडिक्शन
looks
पे
and
खेलते
turns
हैं
the
और
other
कुछ
way.
लोग नॉलेज पे खेलते हैं
Oh,
तो उसमें से ऐश एक
it's
है जो
unfortunate
मतलब
that
मेरे
they
को
lost
मतलब
that member, but at least Never Alone
बहुत
was
अच्छा
there
लगा था
to
क्योंकि
get
मैं
that
बीच
flanking
में गेम
opportunity
देख रहा
and
था
to
ना
put
तो
things
रोटेशन
to
बहुत
bed.
अच्छे करा था
However, the question is, again, that rotation.
Hmm.
Like you said, they
और
could have
मेरे
just
को
taken
मतलब
the
आईजीएल
vehicles
का
on
आइडिया
them.
ही नहीं क्योंकि
Maybe
मैं
they
किसी के
smelled the
अंदर खेला
opportunity
नहीं
for
हूँ
an
तो मैं
elimination.
बहुत
They said,
मुश्किल
why
से
not?
चूज
Let's
कर
see
सकता
what
हूँ
we can get
आईजीएल
here before we move
Hmm.
into that zone, get some foundational points.
समझ गया.
But it is going to
समझ
be a
गया.
hard
So you
rotation
think
for
he's
them.
a
They'll have to
he's
go
an
through the likes of
intelligent
team
IGL
of
like who
Tem
plays
Entertainment,
by
Nongshim,
his
Red Force,
intellect
Furious
rather than going
Gaming,
with the
all the
instinct.
teams
हाँ
towards that northern
हाँ
side of the zone.
Agreed.
And even if they try and take
प्रिडिक्शन
more
भी
of a
करता
Western
है वो
approach,
बट
they
थोड़ी
still
सी
find themselves in
बहुत
the
कम
हाँ, I
crosshairs
mean
here
like you
of the
cannot
blue
always
teams.
be
So
accurate. You know what
not
I
sure
mean?
how they're going to
या
fight their way
ऐसा
into
कोई
the
भी नहीं है
zone.
जो मतलब ये वाला perfect
It's going
zone
to be difficult
prediction.
for everyone to fight their way into zone because all on the outer edges of this new zone is high ground, meaning all the teams not in the zone got to work
और मैं
uphill
आकाश
from
को प्रेडिक्ट की
different
क्योंकि इतनी
multitudes of
जल्दी
sight lines
इंटरनेशनल
raining
जाके अच्छा
down
खेला है
on them. 4
हम लोगों
a.m.
से
coming in from the
Hmm.
blue zone
आईएनडी में
here.
जब वो था तो
Very
वो बाहर
difficult
जाके उसने
rotation
अच्छा
to make
खेला है
as the
इसलिए
circle
जल्दी
hardship
और
is so
आकाश कभी
far
जब हम
down
लोग बाहर
towards the
गए थे
southern side.
इसके लिए खेलने गए थे
And yeah, just take a
टीम
look at
तो
that.
आकाश ने
What's waiting
बहुत
for
अच्छा
them
खेला
in the distance. Everybody
But I mean like
तो मैं अगर
layers
I
of
think it
teams
player
getting
में
ready to gatekeep
there are a lot of
anybody
other
trying to come
factors
into this
other
zone.
than I will say
Already the
experience
damage
what
is
matters.
there. A little bit of
Like you
action
need to
towards
have
Nongshim Red
a
Force as well
very
from
mature
Furious
approach
Gaming,
towards the
but it
game.
is game limited.
हाँ
ऐसा
Line
नहीं
of
कि
तुम
vision
that
सुनने
trying to
वाले हो
stop
मेरे
them.
yeah
They'll rotate
yeah
on in and they will find at
yeah
least one. They will find a second.
हाँ
exactly.
Akashi just
जैसे
leaving
हमारा रहा है
law
फॉर
of the
एग्जाम्पल्स
law.
राइट स्टालवर्ट में क्या होता
हाँ
है
And not much
एसटी
any of
में
these teams
लाइक
can
इतनी
do
गरम
coming
खोपड़ी के
into
प्लेयर है ना
the edges of
मतलब
the zone.
दे
It's
हाँ
all uphill
वो
from
फिर सुनते नहीं
every
है
side
किसी
of the
की जब
circle.
उनका
It
आपस
is a
में
low
कुछ हो या
hill
फॉर
going
एग्जांपल लेट्स से
uphill.
जब
So
गेम
you
के
are
बारे
gonna
में
try
कुछ
to
हो
go
बट
for the
जब
full set. You're
टूर्नामेंट्स और
not knocked
मैचेस
out.
की
You're
बात
just
आते
fine.
हैं ना
Only player managing to come
ऐसा
back.
सवाल ही
And
नहीं
if you
बनता
make
है
it
कि
out
दैट
in
दे
the
विल
last
नॉट
stand,
लिसन टू
maybe get
लाइक
one or
देयर
two.
टीम
There is only
लीडर
3
और
players
देयर
of Game Lord.
लेट्स से
So if he comes up
like
huge,
their
he comes up
IGL or
clutch.
manager
And
or
just as
team
I say
owners
that, the
that way
grenade
they are very
value
respectful
is
लेकिन
On
अगर
the other side of things, the
अदरवाइज
opposing
देखो उनमें
side,
गर्म
here's
खोपड़ी
that
बहुत है.
Longsham Red Force
हाँ.
push uphill. Also,
So
वो
yeah,
तो मतलब
working
हर
out
गेमर में आई
successfully.
थिंक
Falcon, they're going to be the
होती है,
next ones
बहुत
to
कम
try and do
कोई
it,
भी
pushing
कर
right up into Pim
कुछ लोग वो
Entertainment.
गेम में ईगो लेके
Side, a
आते
little
हैं.
bit short in
तुम
prime
समझ रहे हो ना?
plays.
नहीं, और ये गेम
It
भी
comes down to
तो
who can get the opening
बहुत
knocks.
फ्रस्ट्रेटिंग गेम है.
Yeah, I know. But
Capitalize off
lot
the
of
chaos
people
from
they
Longsham
bring for
Red
an
Force.
instance
Unfortunately,
sometimes
Tem
वो
Entertainment have
ego
just
और
been so
frustration game में
clinical.
लेके
They
आते हैं.
weren't
As long
really
as
in a position where they
you
were
are
hurting
able
from
to
that
tackle
engagement.
that,
They're all
it's
full
whole
HP,
mental
and
game,
now
skill,
they're applying that
reflexes,
pressure here to Falcon
until and
to sit
unless
up
सभी
close
players
with
को
that net,
almost
trying to
like
prep it, trying to get
it's not
themselves an
even that good.
opportunity. But just
मतलब
look
फिर
at
आप
this
international
onslaught with
platform
them.
से पहुंच नहीं
Tem
पाते.
Entertainment, they are
You
making
won't
sure to
reach where
count
you
them
have
out. But
reached.
Yusef stepping on up from the
So
flanking line is
in
going to
that
find two. It's
perspective,
down to only one
what I
now for
believe
Tem
is like
Entertainment, who has to rotate
I
around the
think ये
rock,
सारा
look, find that
mindset का
connection.
game
Now
है that
Bevy moves
how
on in
well,
for
how
the
smartly you
elimination.
are playing
Falcons
and how
down on their
calmly you are
last legs of
reacting to
Never
certain
Alone.
situations.
Never
So
alone.
yeah,
और पेन
1v1.
तो माइंडसेट है
Did
yeah.
not spot out the player in the
इवन इफ यू
grass.
लॉस्ट
Very
टू
good
गेम्स
try for the likes of Falcon. I feel
तुमको
like
पता
if
है
they
तुम
just,
कमबैक कर लोगे.
gave up the
बहुत
push
लोग क्या
against
होते हैं कि
FaZe and
लोग
instead
एक गेम हार
prioritized
गए तो
that one,
पूरा
then we
टीम
just
का
saw
भी
that they
माइंड
had
फक
more
कर
time
देंगे,
to work,
दूसरा भी माइंड फक
plus
कर
an
देंगे.
extra member
और
to
पूरा
play with because they did lose
एनवायरनमेंट
one
की
player to FaZe. If they
एनवायरनमेंट ही
had
खराब
that
कर
one
दी.
player up, it would have been a 2v1. They could have got a full
Agreed.
reset,
वो भी नहीं
taken
हो
that
सकती
position
है.
on high ground.
Agreed.
In
Falcon
good
के साथ क्या बीटी
standings.
हुई है?
Next zone shifts
बहुत
further
अच्छा मारा
down
वो.
south. So everyone on the north side
यूसुफ
now
ने अच्छा
has
मारा
to
था
cross
लेकिन
over.
थर्ड पार्टी
This
हो गया.
giant
दोनों
lead
टीमें
up
थर्ड
is
पार्टी हो गई.
definitely gonna spell
नहीं वैसे
doom
फैल्कन को
for many
अपने
of the
3 पॉइंट
players.
मिले.
Again, I'm just thinking about Train to Kill
उनके
coming
कल्चर
through
खेल
from that
रही है.
southern side. That
बहुत
rotation
अच्छा
in the
खेल रही
zone
है.
is paying dividends for them. They are so well zone blessed
ये
right now that they are just
गो
waiting
भी
for
अच्छा
teams to
खेल
push
रही.
into
पता नहीं
them.
गो कहाँ की
It's the
टीम?
push
आप
in
जीडी.
here
किसको
between
लेके
Genesis
जाओगे?
Dogma and Game Lords is going to be an
इंडिया में
interesting
से.
one. Down to Victor now, who's just slowly but surely
Nice.
getting pushed on out
Okay.
of position with that zone. At least does find
As
one.
an IGL,
But again,
to be
they
on a
still
shadow
have to make
because
a
of his
rotation, and the
mindset.
rest of Genesis is trained on this
Fragger,
position. They are just waiting for a
Jonathan.
pixel to pop to take them out of the count, to take Victor out, and to provide them that space.
I
from
think
that
अगर
southern side.
PMGC जाना हो ना, I'll take
Domino Thunder
you as an
Flurry
IGL
pushing it, forced
because you
Captain
have
to all
experience.
three of them
तुमने
go
बहुत
down to
international
isolate
खेला
that
है.
one player, and they gave up the
I
high
will
ground. This was
take
Game Lord's position.
Johnny
Game
as
Lords was gatekeeping out
obviously for being
Genesis
Johnny.
and 4AM. The second they gave up that high ground because they didn't want to risk a 2v1, it was the Genesis team to overtake it. Now
I
Genesis
think
in a great position.
Ash,
Meanwhile,
of
on
course,
the edge
but
of the
again,
map here,
there is a bit
both
of
teams
conflict.
GK and
वो IGL
Xavier
है, then you
in
can't have two
the
IGLs, but he
hardcover
plays what
against
he does
VOG
what he
and
does.
Geek Fam.
Bro,
And
मेरे
this
लिए ये
Geek
question
Fam
इतना difficult
is
क्यों है?
eliminated.
इसलिए तो मेरे को यही तो जानना था.
मेरे लिए बहुत ज़्यादा
पता है,
difficult
ये
question
है.
है.
He probably won't be making it in here either.
I highly doubt. I mean, up against the likes of GK and
Yeah.
Xavier,
तो
who
वो
have their
हमारी
eyes
टीम में
set and
सपोर्ट किए
trained
तो
on
था.
that coastline on the edge of zone as well. It's
Agreed.
really about that interesting
तो पूरी
question:
टीम
when
को
does
सपोर्ट
GK
करता हूँ.
take the action to do Xavier or vice versa?
IGL
Again, they're
को
not the
बनना
only
पड़ा
team
है.
in these final zones. We've got Train to Kill
ऐसा है.
already planting their flag in the zone. At
Agreed.
least with one
Agreed.
furious
मेरे लिए ये
gaming
question
willing
थोड़ा
to
ना
say.
difficult
And
है
it looks
answer
like
करना.
GK Esports are trying to find
To
an
be
तो
very
आप
opportunity
कुछ
honest.
भी
to
कर दो ना,
Xavier, but
जरूरी
Train
नहीं है
to
ना.
Kill
तो आपको
will
तो समझ
actually
में
be
है.
the ones to find that opportunity.
नहीं
वो
मैं
आप
बताता
नहीं
हूँ ना,
आ पाए.
मेरे हिसाब से
Silence so deadly down
I
here.
think I'll rather go
There
for
is a
you
lot
as
of
an
trees,
IGL,
you know,
Johnny as a
covering
fragger.
soft.
Um,
Consider it soft cover.
I'll take
You
Johnny
saw
and
right
Goblin
there,
both.
players do
मुझे
sometimes
Goblin के
shoot through the
reflexes
rushes
और
for those
उसका
lucky
थोड़ा ना
shots, and it sometimes
ठीक
hits
है
the
अभी
net.
उसमें I think he needs
Circle
like
centers
if he
right
plays
on up.
couple of more
GK
international
and
tournaments
the
he'll be at a very
Xavier will have to make
very
it
good
themselves.
level.
I would like to see
Couple
GK
of good
maybe
tournaments
just
and he will
getting
get
the
there.
fight with the
Because
Xavier rather than
मैंने अभी
push
PMWI में उसकी ना एक चीज नोटिस की कि जितना जितना गेम्स आगे बढ़ती गई ना, जितना मैचेस आगे बढ़ते गए,
really nice on that.
I saw his game
Very
evolve
short
so
silence on Xavier
quickly.
Mills. Train
His
to kill.
reflexes, his
वो
Doing the same
momentum,
damage
timing,
तो
they
गेम जो है
not just the Xavier
understand कर रहा था.
एसेप्शन भी करता है.
हाँ क्विक एडेप्शन थी उसकी, बहुत क्विक एडेप्शन थी उसकी.
Rotations, the name of the game.
Then
but right now
I
you
mean
would
like I'll
say
take
that they are
Goblin
falling,
and Jonathan
well,
both,
falling
and then
victim
I
to this
will
rotation
take
from the zone. GK Esports moving
I
on in,
think
applying the pressure onto
definitely
one, looking for a bit more.
Diljit.
And they've got the numbers to do it. Frankie still trying to slowly but surely move on up. Train to kill now,
Yeah.
making their move as well, but feeling some pressure.
That will be
makes
missed.
that appearance and looks to take them out.
Ooh, Genesis nicely sneaking up to Train to Kill. Train to Kill was a little bit too focused, but now that they've given away the positions, Train to Kill is now trained onto the side of Genesis, and those nades will be good. Slows everything down. That is 2 players all of a
और
sudden
मेरा जो
for
प्ले स्टाइल
Genesis
है ना,
knocked and
not
finished.
aggressive.
I do
Hmm.
applaud
It
the
depends
effort
on
on potentially making the game
how
replay, but hold on, everybody's getting
situation is.
involved now as
True.
360 all around the map.
True.
Shots getting
अब मेरे
traded
मेरे
back and
को ये
forth
सिचुएशन
from
में
one side of the
एग्रेसिव
map to
होना है
another.
तब मैं
Everyone
होऊंगा
is going to be able
Hmm.
अगर मुझे
to
नहीं
take
होना है
shots. We
Hmm.
still
तो मैं
have
नहीं
Furious
होऊंगा
Gaming here on the
जरूरत है
Nordic side playing
उसकी
Hmm.
very
जरूरत है
quiet.
तो
Will be
होऊंगा
able to get the
जरूरत नहीं है
rebound
तो
on
नहीं
Team
होऊंगा
Trigger. Probably will have to
तो
pick
Hmm.
him
यही
up
मेरा
as the
एक
blue zone
जब
is
जब मेरे
creeping
को
in.
चूज करने बोल
Bios
देते थे तो ये मेरा एक
picking up the
कंसर्न था कि
booster.
मैं
Furious Gaming down to 2.
किसको
It
लूं
is a
और
slow
कि
crawl
मतलब
for
Hmm.
अगर
everyone.
मैं सारे
Just trying to kill
अच्छे
still
मारने वाले
most
बंदे को
players
ले
because
लूंगा
they
तो
have
वो
the
लोग
skill
मेरा
set
पेस
to
मैच
win.
नहीं कर पाएंगे ना मैं
They
उनका
have the
पेस
skill
मैच
set.
कर
They have
True.
all of their
लेकिन
numbers
उसी
still up.
उस
And
उसीलिए मैं
applying pressure,
उसीलिए
shooting,
like you know
making
between
every
you and
possible
Shadow I
possible
was a
moves
bit
at this
like you know
point in time. And
conflicted.
now Furious
हाँ
You
Gaming
have
actually
experience,
moving
Shadow
as
is
well.
very
GK
aggressive
moving in.
and I like
GK
that.
not
हाँ
quite
Like
finding
मतलब
that
वो होता है
connection,
और
so GK will have
he will
just a
push them
space,
to like you
just
know
an
get those
opportunity,
kills,
and
get
a
those
glimpse
quick
of time
rotations.
to get that
I know
elimination.
you
But
prefer
I'm
rather
sure
like
that
okay you
they'll
will
be able
think
to
10
survive
times
here.
before taking a
Train
move,
to Kill
but
just looks
he
like
just
a
decides he
tunnel
goes for
vision
it.
on
That's what I have seen in
esports
Shadow.
here.
I
और
mean there
ये
were a lot of people
प्रॉब्लम
who
क्या है
Definitely
पता
base
है
threat with
Hmm.
3 players
कि
on
आप
and in
इधर
closest
इंडिया में ना
proximity
वैसे
to
खेल
them.
भी सकते हो बट बाहर
GK
जाके आप
knows
जैसे
that
नहीं
they have to
खेल
make this push. GK has been playing
Hmm.
so well today, game 1
they are
and game
very
2,
much
racking up a
prepared
huge amount of points. If
Hmm.
they were to
बाहर
go
में
down
तो
here, they already
बस
have 9
तुम्हारा एक गेम
eliminations
प्ले
and a
सेंस
3rd
तुम्हारे
place finish.
दिमाग में होना
And
ही
what's
चाहिए
even
कि
better,
बिल्कुल
Ragnar is
चल
going
रहे
to open this
Hmm.
fight
और
up
हर
with a
क्योंकि तुम
grenade,
उनके सामने पहली बार
setting this fight
खेलोगे
back
तुम
to
अपने
3v3, and they're
एक
giving up the
जो
high
प्लान
ground.
है उसके हिसाब
If
से नहीं खेलोगे
they
क्योंकि
decide to
तुम
wrap up,
इधर
they
कैसे
can win
इंडिया में
this.
तुमको
And
पता होता है ये टीम
Genesis
इधर
on the
होगी
other
ये टीम
side of
उधर
things
होगी
get some
Hmm.
shots
बट
onto
बाहर
Train
तुमको
to
तो
Kill.
पता
Train to
नहीं
Kill
होगा
looking so
वो
strong.
लोग
A
कहीं
तुम्हें
से भी
Pmgc now
आएंगे
down to 2.
True.
And now
True.
GK
True.
will wrap up
तो
2
तुम
top
अगर
side. Is
अपना गेम चेंज नहीं करोगे अपने गेम चेंज में
P1
उधर
GK 11
बीच में
eliminations.
तुमको
They just need to
इन
find
गेम
one more
चेंज लाना ही
player.
पड़ेगा
Last player
बहुत
Train to
जरूरी
Kill.
है
Good
Hmm.
nade, getting a
Hmm.
lot of
और
damage. He's
अगर वो
gonna
नहीं
pop
ला
up. He
पाए
gets
तो
one.
बहुत
Hmm.
दिक्कत
1v2.
होगी
Can
कि हम
he get
गए
the
थे ना
second
मेरा
player? He
खेलने
needs
मेरे
a
को
good one
समझ
here.
गया कि मतलब
Fires off a lot
तुमको
of
बाहर
shots.
खेलना है तो
Ragnar
क्या माइंड
almost
सेट से
goes down. Ragnar will throw the nade back. Doesn't
कि
connect.
महीना वाले ही हम लोग
Confirms a
कुछ
point.
मतलब
And now he's going to
समझ
wrap
लो
back. He's
एकदम
given away his position.
इतना
Wants to
अच्छा
change it
खेल
up a
लेते
little
हम
bit.
लोग
Goes prone.
गन
Might
फाइट
catch one
ऑब्वियसली
more
हम लोग
player.
हर बार मार
Has to lay
देते हैं
down.
ठीक है गन
So
फाइट
1v1 zone
Hmm.
is
बट
closing in.
स्ट्रेटेजी में बीट जा
Ever
रहे
so
बट धीरे
slowly.
धीरे अडेप्ट कर लिया ना उनको
GK.
Hmm.
They have
बहुत
the
इजी हो गया
advantage,
था हमारे
but they're definitely
Agreed.
not going to play this too carelessly.
Agreed.
इसलिए मैं भी कंफ्यूज था जब आप बोले ना
Snaking in. Both players
Yeah.
of
तो मेरे
GK.
दिमाग में
One
ऐसा
player of
कुछ
GK.
But I think international lobbies में you cannot rely on like you know I mean pace defines a lot of things.
Sandesh.
हाँ
Spots
but
one.
you
He
can't
knows where the
rely on
last one
one
is.
team.
He's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
go
yeah.
for the one
अरे
v one.
T2K,
Fires
T2K,
right side,
T2K.
अरे
fires
T2K ने
left side,
almost
gets
chicken
some more
निकाल लिया
shots
था.
in, but the last player of GK swings out wide, swings out unexpectedly, all the way away.
No, I
from
mean
the
like
cover.
you know what I mean.
That
There
picks
are
off
there are a lot of
by
factors that
GK.
have to be involved.
हाँ
Very
I mean you can't go
strong
into
बहुत
chicken
मुश्किल है
damage.
ऐसा है
GK
कि
just shot themselves up
तुमने you have to
huge in
try
the lead.
various
'Cause I
things
don't believe anyone
try out
below
करनी
them.
पड़ेगी
Oh yeah, look at him. He's like, where's
सब
everyone?
पूरा है
Where's everyone else on the leaderboards, huh?
टीम
All here.
अभी
We're here all day, baby. All day. GK.
मेरी पेस तुमको
Man,
मैच ना और
this team.
मेरे को मैच ना
Not one of the teams
Hmm.
that I think a lot of players or a lot of,
अच्छा let's say for
eyes
example
on to
चलो
come
एक
out
और
with
question
strong
पूछता हूँ
performance on game.
entertaining question
And
for the audience.
They are high
Let's
above
say if you
everyone
didn't
else.
had to
I mean, GK
you are not playing
esports
for any
moving on in from
esports
those Middle
organization,
Eastern Africa
right? And you
champs,
have to go
the
for one
team from
global
Saudi
organization that you
Arabia,
want to
making
play for.
everyone
Which one will
so
you play for?
proud at home.
Which
And
one would
again,
you like to
just
be a part
managing
of?
to calm everything down in the final moments. Train to kill once again, so close.
So
This
let's
is such
say
a much
you
better
wanna, for
performance
example,
than
you
what
have
we've
an
seen so
open
far
option
today,
in the
but
world right now.
just
ठीक है?
so
तो
close, just
उसमें
short
तुम्हें
of
ऑप्शन
making
मिलता है
back
कि
a
तुम
win
दुनिया में किसी भी टीम को लेके ज्वाइन कर
extremely
सकते हो,
close, but maybe this
right?
spells the
Which
hope
team
what
will
we should
which
be
team will you
expecting from
choose?
Train to Kill in the other maps.
Except Enigma.
You know, making a really good comeback as far as performance goes. I feel like they had a chance to really close out the game there. They needed to pressure into GK rather
Which one?
than hovering down the middle. We saw when they hovered in the middle, GK pushed up, the other side third partied, and that was the demise of Train to Kill. But great performance for them, even better for GK, because this makes 3 amazing, consistent games for this team of GK.
आप इंडिया के बाहर की बात कर रहे हैं,
इंडिया के बाहर की
हाँ
निगमा में तो तू खेल चुका है, वो मुझे पता है, तू बोलेगा नहीं।
हाँ तो मतलब तो मैं तो चाहूंगा कि मैं ऐसी टीम के साथ खेलूं जो बेस्ट है, बट वो पॉसिबल नहीं है। समझो अगर बेस्ट टीम चाइना की है, बेस्ट टीम एचपी है, बेस्ट टीम 4M है, वो उनके साथ खेल तो पाऊंगा नहीं, बिकॉज मेरे को चाइनीज आएगी नहीं और मैं कम्युनिकेट कर नहीं पाऊंगा। और ये गेम ऐसी है, मतलब ये वैलिडेट नहीं है कि तुम बोल दो कि शावर को ये को या शावर से आ रहा है। इस पे उनको 24/7 बोलते रहना पड़ता है, उनको पूरा टाइम बोलते बोलते रहना पड़ता है, रोटेशन देना है, बंदा इधर से आ रहा है, इसको शूट करो, साथ में मारो, ये सब मतलब पूरा कम्युनिकेट करना पड़ता है।
हाँ
तो मैं अगर दूसरी लैंग्वेज वाला टीम होगा तो मैं उसको ना समझा पाऊंगा ना कुछ समझ पाऊंगा, उसके मेरे लिए लॉस है और मुझे भी लॉस
And it's
हाँ
GK
agreed.
Esports that
है।
get
मैं
the
ऐसी टीम
first
जाऊंगा जहाँ भले वो
back-to-back
विनिंग टीम ना
chicken
हो, पर वो
dinners
टीम
here in
विनिंग
Group
बन
Yellow. And
सकती
it's
है अगर
only match number 3
हमारा सब
at the
प्रॉपर
start. This team is absolutely dominating and crazy indeed, Imperium. You know, they gotta be feeling the hype, huh?
Definitely, they held on to one of the strongest compounds coming into the mid portion of the
Understood.
game down on the southwest
Understood.
तो आप
side, and
समझ
they
जाओ मेरे
took
ऐसे
it from
टीम
the
को भी किसी